Is it time?
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day.
We'll see what happens. We'll know in a very short period of time, but it looks like it could be something that will be not good. Believe me, not good.
I am a dissident.
Don't move. Move.
I'm saying no. Why you hear Palantir, 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 Palantir? It's not going to stop.
Seriously, we need to release the F-scene list.
Turns off.
I am not a church boy.
Turns off.
They're full-on vampires.
They hate our beef. They hate our beef. They hate our beef because our beef is beautiful and theirs is weak.
Not good. Believe me, not good.
Hello, dissidents. Welcome, one and all, to a Thursday midday edition of the Do Dissidents podcast. Keaton Weiss here, all by myself for now, but not for long. We have brought in reinforcements for this stream, of course, because Russell is across the world in Thailand. So first I'm going to bring in my co-host for the day, host of Hardlands Media. You all know who he is, Mr. Kit Cabello. Kit, what's going on, man?
Hey, it's great to fill in for our good friend Russell. Thank you for having me here. It's the NYC Chicago connection. So let's go ahead and rock and roll and have a good show.
There you go. Awesome, my friend. Awesome. Well, we have another surprise guest for everybody here. Got a little surprise for everybody. From across the world, landed safely in the great city of Bangkok. Russell Dobular is here.
Hello.
Here to say hello. You must be pretty tired.
Yo, man, that was over 20 hours in the air, and the second plane, the flight from India to Bangkok, that was the final leg. That was maybe the smallest leg room plane I ever been on, and the guy next to me was like fucking Hodor from fucking Game of Thrones. like I felt bad for this guy, man. As much as I was annoyed at his elbow coming to me, I felt bad for him. But yo, man, that was crazy. That was crazy. I almost missed that plane.
Dude, man.
Because you got delayed
crazy.
coming out of the city.
Delayed.
Yeah,
that plane left like an hour and a half later than it was supposed to. And I asked the guy when I was getting on the plane, I was like, "Yo, man, am I going to make that plane?" I guarantee you, sir, you are going to make this plane. I said, "You sure?" He's like, "You wouldn't make the plane."
there you go.
All right, if you say so. But I almost didn't make the plane. And then a guy with a cart. See, this is what I love about this part of the world, but I think it's part of why a lot of Americans don't like to travel to this part of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Man, the Indian guy comes up to me with like a golf cart. You look like you are late. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Like, okay, come on, I will take you. I get in. And then he's like, "So you want to give me something?" I already had it in my hand. I was like, "Yeah, here you go, man."
Yeah, so you want to
But he had to do it like on the slide because he's not supposed to be doing that.
yeah.
And then you know, when I get to Bangkok, I ask about if the taxis are metered. Oh yeah, they're metered. As soon as I'm walking with the guy, okay, it's going to be 600 baht. I'm like, "Yo, what about the meter?" No, he's 600. I talk him down to 500. But you know what? I'm comfortable with that. I like that world. I like living like that. If you're not from a place like New York, and it's not just New York, you got to be from a certain side of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, you know what it is? America is like insectoid now. It's
Right.
like it's not human. It's like it's inhuman. That is very human to me. That kind of wheeling and dealing, and you know, it's the human comedy.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot better than people, you know, everyone on fucking Ritalin. And
Yeah.
let me tell you something. I assume the visa officer was, I believe, a lady boy. And there were quite a few in the 7-Eleven when I just went in there to get some water.
Be careful.
You can call them boys, but they are all lady to me.
There you go. Russell's gone woke in Thailand. So
Now-
a small
now-
plane coming on. How many seats were on the second plane? You said that was a really tiny one.
Yeah, like Indiana Jones kind of flight.
No, not like the twin prop kind of plane, but it was just, man, it was very compressed, like the way it was made. There was just absolutely no leg room. Like
Yeah.
it was just made to shove as many people into a metal tube as possible.
No dick room. You should have complained. There's no dick room on this. There's no dick room on
Hey,
this.
What about the lady boys? Come on, they need it.
Look,
Yeah.
look, I know there's a lot of rumors that you people out here, you don't need the room, if you know what I'm saying. I'm a big boy, need a little fucking room here. You know what I'm talking about?
Can I pay for an extra dick room seat?
Now on Air India, special dick room seat in business
Yeah, right.
class.
Yes.
No, listen, I took a video of this.
Mm-hmm.
Their video for the plane safety thing, that should win a fucking Oscar. Like, I would pay to see this. I would pay to see this. I have never seen anything like it. Like the Air India prep, they did it in like folk dance, and they have like,
They did? Oh, so Bollywood. Yeah. They did a whole Bollywood thing, right?
Yeah, and there was like no vaping and smoking. They had like one of those Indian demons with the nails.
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
It was fucking awesome. I was like, I would pay money to see this. I would like this. Yeah, I want Douglas Murray to explain his Western chauvinism in the face of this. I want to play a typical American Airlines pre-flight safety check against this. You tell me what the West has over this culture.
Yeah. There you go. Do it in
Kit,
style.
Yes.
Kit, speaking of culture, man,
Yeah.
I'm here 10 minutes. They already threw down the gauntlet, man.
What they
They
do?
already threw down the gauntlet.
Oh.
Wow, look
So
at
now
that.
this is an international fight now. Now Thailand's coming after the USA for our belt.
That's
Okay.
it. This. I mean, me and you, we're gonna fight shoulder to shoulder.
No,
as
we
men.
have to. I call for
yeah.
immediate truth and alliance.
Truce between Chicago and New York. We can't let them
and
get
Detroit,
away with this.
and at Hawaii, everybody. We
And
can't
Hawaii.
let this
Yeah.
stand.
And Hawaii.
Even Hawaii.
Hawaii.
We'll have to negotiate a no more pineapple on the pizza clause for Hawaii to get in on it.
Exactly.
But nah, there's like a really authentic place around the corner with the ducks hanging in the window, man. And that whole meal, like the whole roast duck, that's, I don't know, man. Like it's the equivalent of like $6, $7, something like that.
Wow.
It's not like India cheap, but it's cheap.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's very cheap. Wow.
All right. Hey, but the good news though is that we have a peace treaty, the first end of the war. There's now a global alliance between American cities and our pizzas. So now we go international.
United Front.
That's it, man. That's it. Pizza unites. It doesn't divide.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
Exactly. Precisely.
That's right.
All
right, man.
Yeah.
So I guess you're going to bed, right?
All right. This is a really interesting street. Like there's a mall across the street. It seems like it's open. I just can't. I got to go over and look at it. So I don't know, in an hour or two. I'm too wired to go to bed now.
All right, be safe, brother. All right, and much love to you. Have adventures and take photos and take videos.
Yes,
that's what I'm doing. That's what
All
I'm
right.
doing. All right, guys, have a rocking show. Dissidents, thank you for joining. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the support. We will have many, many adventures over the next few months together.
All
And
right.
I'll do something about the prison lighting here.
It's
Okay,
all right.
cool.
It looks fine.
Cool. Very good.
All right, man.
All right.
Be safe. Have
All
fun.
right. Namaste, motherfuckers.
Yeah, namaste.
Namaste.
That's right. Namaste.
Oh, that was great.
That was great. Well, he got out of the country just in time. You know, he's been talking all this time about how, he's going to be leaving the country for a few months, and he's not quite sure how safe it'll be to return because, things here are going to get really bad. And look at what happened while he was in the air. Didn't take an hour between when his plane took off and when news broke of the ice shooting in Minnesota. So we will get into all of that and more today. A great crowd in here. We got 1,000 already in the YouTube room. We got 241 over on Rumble. I hope Rumble's working okay for everybody. I know it said the show started on January 12th. No, it starts at January 8th at 12 p.m. I was having some problems with the Rumble tech setting up the stream, so that's probably related. I would say
it's a tech gremlins. Pray to the Omnissiah.
Yeah, exactly. All right, man. Well, hey, Kid, what's been going on over at Heartlands Media lately?
Well, right now, we're, doing some interviews. I have an interview lined up with one of the Chicago mayoral candidates who's been very vocal against Mayor Brandon Johnson. Hopefully I can get that situated by Friday. We're also going to be covering a little bit more stories here that has to deal with our city budget crisis, that we are $1.1 billion in the hole. And of course, there's a looming threat of ICE and the National Guard being deployed. I know right now there's a lot of people saying that the National Guard won't be deployed, but with the actions that we saw yesterday, I'm all in. Like, Chicago is going to get hit pretty soon. So there's all of that happening. Plus, it's a new year, 2026. And I just want to say this because I know we have people who watch your show, people watch my show. And I just wanted to say, just going into this new year, that I'm very grateful for this entire independent media community standing in solidarity and showing us love, especially in this day and age where censorship and suppression is very real. So just glad to be here and glad to co-host with you.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for doing it. Everybody should go to Heartlands Media and subscribe if you're not already. I assume many, if not most of you are. So go and check them out. You guys are on YouTube and on Rumble. So
and Kick as well.
And Kick.
Yeah, Kick. Yeah, there you go. We have a lot of fun there.
Kicking it with what's his name? What's the big Kick guy's name? Sneeko?
Well, there's Sneeko on Kick. There's Aiden Ross. There's I know XQC, and I think Asmongold too. There's a lot of people on Kick because of the actions of Twitch. But I could be here for hours telling you about the in real life streaming world and the Black Mirror type horror that we are witnessing here. One day I'll talk to you about it, because it's if anything, the writers from Black Mirror would be on a field day with what you see on Twitch and Kick.
Yeah, I believe it. All right, folks. So we are going to get started. Smash that like button, please. Smash that subscribe button over on YouTube. That follow button over on Rumble, and we will, of course, jump right in. Huge news yesterday, of course, the ICE shooting in Minneapolis. After fatal ICE shooting, DHS and Minnesota officials share contrasting accounts. So if you were on Twitter at all yesterday, you have seen videos of this event. A few different angles have been published. So we will take a look at this now, because of the YouTube rules, obviously, I have edited around the instance where the shots have been fired. That's just house rules here in East Berlin. But you do see right up to the frame before the shots are fired. We're going to take a look at this in regular speed, and then we're going to take a look at it slowed down. Get out of the fucking car. Okay, so right away here, let's just walk through what we have. So we have this woman who's kind of parked awkwardly. Now, some reports have listed her as a legal observer. Some have described her as a protester. She is parked in a way that is half blocking the streets, which we'll get to in a little bit. Looks like it is safe to assume she is a protester of some kind, a monitor of some kind, and they needed her to move because she was obstructing the street. And where the camera picks up, she is being approached by these two guys on the side of the car. They scream, "Get out of the fucking car!" Okay.
I also want to add in here too, and I do apologize for interrupting, but
no, you're good.
I've done site security when I was, in the Marine Corps, and I just got to say the actions of ICE, especially in Chicago last year during the late summer, early fall, this is not how you do crowd control. This is not how you calm down a situation. Your whole goal is to de-escalate. That's what they taught me in the Marine Corps. De-escalate. Try and have a calm. Obviously, yes, you are heavily armored and weaponed, but that is the last option, especially in a civilian neighborhood where perception drives reality. And I got to tell you, walking up to somebody, you're masked up, body armor on, weapons in hands, and you're telling someone to get the F out of the car, that's going to cause a primal reaction from a person. I don't care who you are. You could be stone cold tough or very soft, and people will respond to that as a threat.
Yes, 100%. All right, let's watch. Get out of the fucking car. She starts grabbing.
No! Shame!
Now, boom, where that flash happened, it happened so fast, it's hard to see. So he says, get the fuck out of the car. She backs up. You could see the reverse lights and now the brake lights. Now the reverse lights and the brake lights go off, and here she goes. And as she goes, that flash is where the officer standing right in the front of the car on the driver's side fires a shot. So I'm going to play this once more in fast motion, and then we are going to slow it down. And just so everybody understands, because of the YouTube rules, I mean, Stephen A. Smith did the same thing. Everybody seems to be editing around the point where the shots are fired, just because that creates problems here. So that's why the flash is there.
No! Shame!
Okay, so on opposite sides of that flash, he fires 3 shots.
What the fuck?
Okay, so now we're going to play this very slowed down. Okay, so now it's in super slow motion with the sound off. So they come up to the car. He starts grabbing at the car. She backs up. Now right there, you could see between the guy grabbing at the door and the car, the other guy's head comes into view. So he starts walking right in front of the car as this guy is trying to grab the window. This goes to what Kit was saying. This is complete amateur hour. Complete amateur hour. No one of any adequate training would do an arrest like this. You have 2 guys create a panic by screaming at her, get out of the fucking car, and grabbing at the door like an orangutan, while this putz wanders in front of the car. That is a setup for something terrible to happen. Now, people have said she should not have moved in this way. She should not have jerked the car around, reversed it, steered the wheel. I agree. She definitely panicked. She did not handle this well. But you know what? It is the job of the officers not to create a panic. The way ICE acted here definitely caused her to panic. The way this arrest would work in a civilized society is ICE would go up. They would say, you have to not block the road. We need you to move. If you don't move, we're going to call the police, the Minneapolis police, who are, for all their flaws, and we know about them, don't we? At least have a modicum of training and professionalism. They're not backbenchers from the Fargo Bowling League that got paid $50,000 signing bonuses to come out here and play Keystone Cop, right? So you call the actual police and you say they're going to tell you to move, and if you don't move, they will arrest you, at which point a cop would arrive on the scene. Meanwhile, the lady is stopped. You have her car. You could take a picture of her license plate, right? I mean, you could do this very orderly and by the books. You say, we're going to call the cops. The cops come. They say, ma'am, you have to move if they're telling you to move. If you don't move, we're going to have to take you in. At which point, she could either, do the civil disobedience thing and have him, have the cop arrest her, take her to jail for a few hours, probably let her go, or she could be on her way. Right? Most likely, she'd probably be on her way. We don't know that. But that's how this would happen in a civilized society. You would not have untrained goons go up to her screaming, get the fuck out of the car, start grabbing at the door, while this guy wanders in front of the car. This is where the fault lies here, is the fact that these ICE officers are not trained.
No,
they are not trained. They are amateurs. They are amateur clowns. How are you wandering in front of the car while this guy's creating a panic on the side of the car?
I also want to point out here, too, because the guy should not have been walking in front of it. They could have had their vehicles and block her in and wait for the Minneapolis police to come in. I mean, again, right now we're being armchair generals. So what if? But it did not warrant her to be executed.
Of course not.
But the thing is, with the training that we've seen from ICE, I'm just going to time travel a little bit to August when I was on the Jimmy Dore show, and we were talking about how ICE was in Chicago. And I remember somewhere in that segment, we played a video of this guy on a bicycle No weapon in hand, just a cell phone, and he was just saying "F you to ICE, F you to ICE, F you to ICE." And we were laughing about it because ICE was then the ICE officers were chasing him, even though he did not touch anybody, he didn't do anything. He was just saying "F you" to them.
I think he said "fuck Trump" too. That was the guy who was the delivery driver.
Yeah.
I don't even think he said "fuck ICE." I think he said "fuck Trump."
Well, something of that nature. But I did make this prediction that, okay, if they're willing to escalate and chase after a guy who is powerless, weaponless, didn't touch them, didn't interfere with any kind of operations they were doing, it's going to escalate to the point to where there will be violence in the streets and people will die. And that happened yesterday. I also want to point out that with the actions of that officer, he had something else in his hand, either a cell phone, and we were talking about.
Oh, we'll get to that. Yeah,
some kind of recording device, because there's varying different angles. This woman did not need to get shot, but this also serves as a warning too, that anyone that's going to be participating in these ICE protests or use that trying to find ICE agents, you are putting your life in your own hands, because these guys are not properly trained to de-escalate or have community outreach or try and at least present a more kinder version, which is impossible for them at this point. And the cards are all laid down. ICE right now has to deal with the fact that one of their agents shot a U.S. citizen. She is executed. Her child does not have a mother anymore. And I only can imagine the pain and suffering that the family is going through. All of this could have been avoided. And when you have somebody saying, get the F out of the car, get the F out of the car, a person will panic. And I can imagine what she's thinking about in the car. I need to get out of here. She's afraid. They're trying to pull her out of the car. They're trying to pull her out. And she probably did not even see the guy, because she's got, again, a flight or fight kind of mindset happening in her mind. And so she's trying to remove her car. The guy walks in front of it, which is a stupid thing on his part. That's lack of situational awareness on his. And then he goes ahead and fires with a violent weapon. Sorry, not violent, but again, a weapon, not a non-violent weapon. No stun gun, no pepper spray gun or anything. He uses his pistol and she gets executed.
All right. So let's just take a look once more at the slow-mo video, and then we have plenty more. So there's the slow motion video. So there she is. Car's in reverse. Now the brakes are on. Now the guy walks in front of the car. And now she goes to drive away. Now, I'll wait before I speculate any further, because that pertains to a slide that we have a little bit later on in the slideshow there. Okay. So Seth Abramson says, obviously there'll need to be a full investigation, and there may be things we don't know. But as a former criminal defense lawyer who worked homicide cases, my gut tells me this is second-degree murder. As with all things ICE, every encounter is mishandled. Okay, so then another angle surfaced, and this is the angle that the left will want to bury. Well, we're not burying it. We're showing it. And obviously, like I said, for YouTube rules, we're not showing the gunshots. But we're showing you literally, I edited this myself. So I edited it to the frame before the shot was fired. So you're getting as much as we can possibly show you. Here. So here is the video. It is from a distance, but you can see there the car kind of running into him, right? It kind of does swipe him, because if I had to guess, my guess would be that she's preoccupied with the guy on her left trying to open the door, and she's probably looking at him at the time that she puts the car back in drive and straightens it out, and then she turns and this guy's here, and immediately upon seeing him here, she cuts the wheel. And he gets out of the way just in the nick of time, but of course then fires a shot. So the arrow is him. There you can see the car coming out, and look, just stepping out of the way. I mean, it was very, very close. Dangerous situation. And like I said, a lot of people on Twitter have absolutely no nuance about this at all. They say, well, are you saying she did nothing wrong? No, I didn't say she did nothing wrong. She panicked and did something she shouldn't have done. If I were her, I wouldn't have had my car there to begin with, because cars can be dangerous, right? I mean, you start jerking around the car like that, that's when terrible things can happen. Whether she should have done what she did or not is a separate question from should he have fired 3 shots at her face for it. And I think anyone who's not a moron can understand that subtlety, but a lot of morons on social media, as we know. So here's what Kit was talking about earlier. The ICE agent involved in yesterday's shooting was carrying a phone and recording the entire interaction with the protester after protester blocking the road. That means the authorities know exactly what he said and she said that led up to the incident. So if you see here, he's got a phone in his hand, the camera pointed right at her. Now, again, You tell me this is not amateur hour. As this guy's trying to open the door, you're walking out in front of her car with a camera pointed right at her. Now, this camera angle would tell us a lot if we ever get this footage, if we ever see this footage, because he would have a clear shot of her face. So we could see, was she looking right at him when she gunned the car in drive? That would tell one story. If she, as I suspect she was, looking at the guy on her left when she put the car in drive and didn't realize he was standing right in front of her until she put the car back in drive, well, that tells a different story. So when will we see that video? Maybe at trial? Who knows?
Or either that somehow it's gone. You know, like I said, the discovery process is going to be very interesting, and it will be very fascinating to see how this entire legal process will play out, because even now we're still dealing with the after effects of what happened here in Chicago. And, you know, there's a lot of legal cases right now in the federal district court cases here in Illinois. So will justice be swift? Probably not. We all know the wheels of justice move slowly, but for this woman and her family, the pain is going to be very real. And this is an absolute devastating loss. And, you know, there's right now even videos of, you know, of at least the aftermath. And I don't think we can even show that because her body's still in the car, where people are saying, I'm a paramedic, I'm a doctor, and ICE is still refusing the emergency response to get there in time to even maybe possibly save her. But even then, like, even watching that video has been rough.
Yeah. I have some of that that was, you know, the blood and stuff was censored out because it's from a mainstream media TV source. So they kind of censor that out for us. So once again, YouTube rules are such that I can't show you the actual video of the gunshots. But here are the exact frames before each shot was fired. There were 3 shots, lower right-hand corner. This is the first shot. This is the frame before the shot was fired. So my video editor goes at 30 frames per second as a default. So this is literally 1/30th of a second before the shot was fired. And if you look, the officer's feet are well to the left of the car, which means his body was out of the path of the vehicle at the time the first shot was fired. Now, you want to say that was really close and that she shouldn't have done that. That was a dangerous move. I agree with you. But he fires 2 more shots. This is again, 1/30th of a second before the second shot was fired. There he is. You could see his arm looks like it's going right into the window at this point. He is well to the side of the car now, at least a foot away from the car now. That's shot number 2. And then fractions of a second later, that's shot number 3. You could see that pretty clearly. Now, you tell me that is not a man firing at someone who is fleeing. You're telling me that man's life is in danger at the time he fires that 3rd shot? Look at that. You're telling me that's not a wrongful death?
No.
So I'm not a lawyer. I can't tell you what it is. Like I said, one of the lawyers here said it looks like 2nd-degree murder. I can't tell you that. But you're telling me that shot should have been taken? That was a warranted shot?
No. She's
driving away. He's standing a foot and a half away from the car at that point. Extending his hand. Looks like he's reaching out to her to shoot her in the face for a 3rd time.
If anything, too, as she's fleeing away, the best thing that ICE could have done was just let her flee, get her license plate, have the police chase her down. There you go.
They should have, if she was causing a problem, like I said, if they needed her to move, she was parked there and refusing to move. You take a picture of the license plate, you call the police. The police, who know what they're doing, at least more than these chumps, would have come and they would have handled it the way a trained professional handles these situations. Instead, no, we're going to have one guy run up on the side of the car screaming and cursing at her, trying to rip the door open, and have this other schmuck wander in front of the car. That is complete clown shit. Complete clown shit. And, of course, it's inevitable that a thing like this is going to happen. They're recruiting these ICE officers with no qualifications and no training to apparently deport immigrants at a slower pace than Barack Obama did. That's the thing. The idea, well, we have to urgently get these ICE agents out on the streets to deport people because we have to pick up the pace. You're not even keeping pace with Barack Obama's deportation numbers.
Nope.
For all this.
Nope.
Okay, so now we're going to get into this a little bit more here. Here's Chris Vanderveen, does a good breakdown. You can already glean a few things, re the Minnesota shooting, based on the videos that are now widely available. Things start to go south when federal officer hooded lunges toward car. The driver at this point is reversing, and the wheel is turned toward the left, as you can see right there. Next slide. Right as the driver takes car out of reverse, officer appears unhooded in front of the car. Hooded officer still has his hands on the door handle. For what legal reason? Question mark. Let's talk about that officer positioned in front of the car, now no longer in reverse, right in the direction of where the driver intends to go. For years, officers have been warned not to position themselves in front of cars. Here's a 2006 report sent by Feds saying why. Now, by the way, she is still technically a licensed attorney, I think, but Janine Eunice, who we're going to get to later in the clip, and maybe a different clip, depending on how long this runs. She claims, as a lawyer, that ICE doesn't have the authority to make these kinds of arrests against citizens, period, meaning that they were in the wrong for even approaching her car and saying, get the fuck out of the car, right? Sounds like what she was saying is that they should have said what I said they should have done, which is call the city police to handle that, and the city police would have handled it for you. Okay,
Exactly.
so there's a question about the authority they had to even initiate this confrontation in the first place. Let's talk about that officer position in front of the car, now no longer in reverse. Okay, so here's why you're not supposed to stand in front of cars. It sounds pretty fucking obvious, but here it is in 2006. Since 2001, there have been at least 17 officers injured and 2 officers killed after being struck by vehicles driven by suspects. 5 officers have been criminally prosecuted for their involvement in vehicle shootings. The outcomes of many of these incidents were the result of poor police tactics and training. For example, many of the officers had positioned themselves in the path of a motor vehicle in the early stages of an incident, presumably in an attempt to prevent the suspect from moving the vehicle. This is an ineffective strategy, both from a deterrence and safety perspective. Yeah, obviously. We ain't cops. I didn't need a manual to tell me that. It's very common to see this in police training manuals. This is one from D.C. Officers should not stand in front of their suspect vehicle or in between the patrol car and the suspect vehicle. Again, strikes me as all quite obvious. But beyond the positioning, let's get back to the video. At this point, and this all happens very quickly, the car is now moving forward. Wheels are straight. Officer in that bad spot reaches for his gun. It's at this moment the wheel turns sharply right. The officer, seen here only by his leg, is in a slightly better position, not directly in front, but still in front. Like I said, it all did happen very, very quickly. And everybody knows who watches this show, I am very consistent in my position that you can't, indict a person or jail a person unless you have absolute proof beyond a reasonable doubt. I always err on the side of not charging people. So I spoke with someone who shall remain nameless for purposes of them remaining in good standing with their job, but a legal professional who I know personally, let's just say. And, I said it all happened in such an instant. Do you think there's a prosecutable case against this officer? Because it certainly wasn't premeditated. So that's first degree murder out the window. So is it second degree murder? I mean, if it happens in that instant and the car is coming at him and he reaches for the gun, can you prosecute that? The person I talked to said, yeah, it looks very bad. It looks like that's the kind of case that you could prosecute, even though it happened very quickly. And this person told me that what makes this more prosecutable is that, no, it's not my dad. My dad is not. Does my dad look like a lawyer to you, Mastermind? No. I can guarantee you that. He said what makes it more prosecutable is that there is a second and third shot fired while the officer is standing well to the left of the car. Like, if the officer is standing well outside the path of the vehicle, there's absolutely no reason to have fired those second and third shots, even if the first shot is a bit of a gray area, which they did not concede. They said even if it happens all at once, a person's lost their life, this is chargeable. So that's what they've said. Again, I have no legal expertise or perspective to bring to that. I'm just telling you what I was told by someone who is far more qualified than I am to litigate these points. Okay,
I'd also say here too that again, this is going to be a whole. Everything's going to be added into discovery. Every video, every witness, because I played yesterday a live stream, and I had like at least 4 different people who were eyewitnesses on the ground there, each giving their own perspective. So there's going to be a lot of counter point of views to every single thing. Now, granted, we have the videos, but there's one big video in question, and that is that cell phone and what was being done on that cell phone at the time of the shooting of when the ICE agent fired into Miss Renee.
Yeah. I mean, I think that cell phone footage probably tells a large part of the story. If she's looking right at the guy when she puts the car in drive, that's one thing. If, as I strongly suspect, she's looking to her left because the guy's trying to open the door and she doesn't see him until she turns her head and immediately cuts to avoid hitting him, that's another thing. So let's get back to the article here because we've only scratched the surface. An ICE agent shot and killed a woman Wednesday during an immigration-related operation in Minneapolis in which she did not appear to be the target, local and federal officials said. The shooting victim has been named as Renee Nicole Good, 37, a mother, and a U.S. citizen. Dueling narratives emerged over what led to the shooting. Department of Homeland Security spokesperson Tricia McLaughlin claimed the woman weaponized her vehicle, attempting to run over our law enforcement officers in an attempt to kill them. Yes, this is what DHS spokeswoman tweeted out yesterday, 12:41 Eastern Time. Today, ICE officers in Minneapolis were conducting targeted operations when rioters began blocking ICE officers, and one of these violent rioters weaponized her vehicle, attempting to run over our law enforcement officers in an attempt to kill them, an act of domestic terrorism. An ICE officer, fearing for his life, the lives of his fellow law enforcement, and the safety of the public, fired defensive shots. Again, you saw, I showed you the stills from the instant before the shot was fired. He used his training. No, he did not use any. First of all, these people are not adequately trained, if at all, and saved his own life and that of his fellow officers. The alleged perpetrator was hit and is deceased. The ICE officers who were hurt are expected to make full recoveries. So there she is, giving her version of events. You decide. You just saw the video. You saw the stills. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey pushed back on DHS's narrative at a news conference Wednesday afternoon, saying they are already trying to spin this as an action of self-defense, referring to ICE. Having seen the video myself, I want to tell everybody directly that is bullshit. So here's the mayor.
Here to cause safety in this city. What they are doing is not to provide safety in America. What they are doing is causing chaos and distrust. They're ripping families apart. They're sowing chaos on our streets. And in this case, quite literally killing people. So they are already trying to spin this as an action of self-defense. Having seen the video of myself, I want to tell everybody directly, that is bullshit. This was an agent recklessly using power that resulted in somebody dying, getting killed.
Witnesses described seeing the woman in the vehicle trying to flee officers when she was shot, disputing the notion that she was trying to run officers over. It's very obvious she was not trying to run the officer over.
No, she was scared.
That is completely obvious that there was no intent to harm the officer. Now, you want to say jerking the car around like that with those officers in close proximity was a reckless act that she shouldn't have done? I would agree with that. That is a separate question. Big Dan 12, who posted in the chat, if she didn't try and drive away, would this have happened? No. Yeah, that is true. That can be true at the same time. That can be true at the same time as we can say that it was still a wrongful shooting. Like
what probably would have happened? What probably would have happened if she didn't even drive away is you would have had 2 ICE agents trying to break down a door and drag a woman forcibly out of her car.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, no matter how you spin it, I mean, ICE doesn't make itself look good because we had that in spades here last year in Chicago where ICE was doing that.
Exactly. I mean, we've seen horror stories of ICE beating people up, right? The way to handle this is to get a trained officer on the scene who knows how to handle it calmly. That's the way to handle it. Witnesses described seeing the woman in the vehicle trying to flee officers when she was shot, disputing the notion that she was trying to run officers over. Police described her as a middle-aged white woman who did not appear to be the target of any law enforcement investigation or activity. So here are some witness accounts. Here's
video,
one interviewed by MS Now.
What exactly you saw this morning?
Basically, ladies trying to warn everyone ICE is in the neighborhood. Just letting them know, hey, and telling ICE, hey, you're destroying families, whatnot. Stop doing this. Hey, get out of here. Stop that. She reversed so traffic can go by. The pickup truck, gray pickup truck, officer ICE got out and was telling her, hey, well, didn't tell her anything really, just telling her what, I'm going to open up your door and I'm going to get you out. And that's when the shooting happened, and the car took off, and then it sped off and crashed right into the cars.
Can you talk about the agent that was stepped in front of the car?
The way he was in the clear. There was another one at the front part of the car on the driver's side, and there's one right there by the door that's opening the, trying to get in the door. Then you have one that's in front of the car that was already coming from the side, and he was just getting clear because he already see that, hey, this person could take off, but maybe I'll try to intimidate you with my gun.
So that's one witness account. Here's another witness account on CNN. Now, this is the woman, Kit, you were talking about earlier, who said that she tried to get a medic through, and they told her no. So let's take a look at this video as well.
Again, by the way, again, people. So before you play, again, look. Because I saw the full raw video that's posted on X where they're saying, please let us get a medic in. There is real fear and panic in these people's voices trying to help Renee before. Obviously there could have been a possibility, maybe, and I'm stretching here, for her life to maybe been saved. But you could tell right away that ICE is trying to clean up a situation, and all these people who are who are part of ICE, who are more than happy to escalate and threaten the situation, are not trying to cover it up. There is no way in which any PR can reverse what they've done. A woman has died. Her kid doesn't have his mom anymore, and a family has lost a daughter. So for anyone that's saying like this is justified, it isn't. This is a pure on escalation, and people are responding. There's a video right now that one of my viewers just sent to me where in front of one of the ICE detention centers, there's a memorial, and you have one agent coming in there kicking down the memorial candles. Absolute pure disrespect. I mean, if ICE wants to lose the PR image, fine, they're doing it. And there's no way that there's ever going to be a de-escalation. There's going to be a full-on intensification and showdown, especially as we enter into spring and summer of this year.
By the way, she was a mother of three. She had three kids. Actually.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
You're
Mother
good.
of three. My apologies for that mistake.
No, you're good. Just wanted to add that.
So President Trump says the woman was disorderly, obstructing and resisting, who then violently, willfully, and viciously ran over the ICE officer. Seems to have shot her in self-defense. He shared a video of the incident from a different angle. What's your response to that version of events?
I mean, that's the only reason why I'm here. I don't think I'm the most articulate person. I don't think that I don't want to be here, but I knew that this would be twisted and it would be self-defense, and that's absolutely not what happened. But it's just my life is forever changed from having witnessed this, and I just can't let this narrative that it was self-defense go any further, because it's absolutely not what it was. And yeah, my neighborhood, my neighbors, we're all going to be pretty traumatized from this for a long time.
When in that video that you shared with us that I just played, the 34 seconds, you're obviously incredibly distraught, and there's a doctor next to you or near you. We can hear him saying, "I'm a physician. I can help," and they say, "No, we have our own medics." But the doctor is there offering to administer CPR, standing right there. I don't want you to have to relive what you were looking at when the horror of her death, but how did agents respond to him? Was there a speed and a desperation in trying to get any sort of assistance to her? Because it didn't sound like that from what you gave us.
Yeah, they wouldn't let him near, and they said they had their own medics that were on their way, which it was, I mean, I don't know, it was at least 15 minutes before the ambulance arrived, and then the ambulance couldn't even get through because the ICE agents had all abandoned their vehicles in the road, so the ambulance couldn't get through. So they parked at the end of the block, and about 5 paramedics came in and examined her for, I didn't see this, but they were with her for a few minutes, and then they carried her limp body away by her limbs, not even on a stretcher. Just carried her down to the end of the block where they could get a stretcher because they couldn't get through with their ambulance.
Looks worse and worse, doesn't it?
No.
Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem said at a news conference Wednesday evening that the ICE agent was hit by the vehicle driven by the woman who was shot. He went to the hospital and was released, she said. Noem said the officer, whom officials have not yet identified, had been attacked before while on the job. So here is Kristi Noem at the evening presser. People need to stop using their vehicles as weapons.
You know, people need to stop using their vehicles as weapons. This domestic act of terrorism to use your vehicle to try to kill law enforcement officers is going to stop. And I'm asking the Department of Justice to prosecute it as domestic terrorism because it's clear that it's being coordinated. People are being trained and told how to use their vehicles to impede law enforcement operations and then to run over anybody who gets in their way while they go out there and try to disrupt peace and public safety. And Americans deserve better.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Okay, so listen to those words. He's saying that people are being trained to use their vehicles as weapons to do domestic terrorism. Okay, first of all, I don't think Kristi Noem realizes that the American people are heavily in debt and people are still paying off car payments. Okay. Second, I would go on and say, where's these training grounds at? Are they learning about online? Is there like a secret little camp somewhere in middle America where you learn how to be a protest? I would say to anyone that's going to be protesting ICE, you do so, you take your life in your own hands at this point and be extremely careful. But she's saying like, there's a coordinated effort. What's the coordinated effort? What is it? Because the only time I've ever seen any kind of real coordinated effort from any of these protests is these No King's March protests. And that's it.
No, the point of all of this, the point of ICE to begin with, is not to do deportations. It's to create a national police force to suppress the civilian population. So when an event like this happens, it is not only in the short-term interest of this administration, just politically, to spin a narrative like this, it is foundational to the creation of ICE, basically. Like the reason why ICE was created, the reason why the Department of Homeland Security was created is, of course, to suppress the civilian population. Just like they used the war on terror to excuse it back in 2003, they are using the immigration crisis to excuse it now. So, of course, it makes sense that she would say that.
Yeah.
Now, if we take a look here, she talked about the weaponization of the car. So Jordan Ewell says using their vehicles as weapons. Now, this is interesting. He says she literally tried waving them through. So this is before things get crazy. Here she is in the car waving some vehicle through. Now, based on the footage, it's not clear if that was an ICE vehicle because, of course, the instant after she waves that vehicle through is when the truck with the ICE agents pulls up behind her. So, this is right after she just waved that car through. So was the car that she waved through, was that an ICE vehicle or was that a civilian? Was she blocking ICE vehicles but not civilian vehicles? There doesn't seem to be really any evidence.
This is the most ineffective roadblock I've ever seen. And not to mention, again, going up to her in that nature with a threatening position to saying, get the F out of the car, than trying to arrest her. I mean, on what grounds? Did she harass and hurt any ICE agents beforehand? I don't think so. Did she do anything to threaten an ICE agent's life? I don't think so. What this is an absolute abuse of power in the streets. And we're seeing how ICE is responding already, day 2 of the protesters in Minneapolis and nationwide. This isn't going to go away. And this administration and now has to live with the fact that they started the fire and they can't put it out now. And I gave this warning last year, especially when ICE was here in Chicago, that something like this was going to happen. And it looks like it's going to continue to escalate and keep on intensifying the more and more. And so what? Is someone else going to lose their life? Is someone else going to get crippled or paralyzed? I mean, what's the body toll going to look like? We're doing, this administration is going after U.S. citizens now. American citizens. What's next? Freedom of speech being censored and suppressed. But oh, wait, that's already happening because last year, 12 million channels on YouTube were censored and terminated just like that out of existence. That's right. I mean, like what comes next? And the thing is a lot, because are we going to get in? Because again, if anyone talks about this, are there going to be automatically some rules and procedures of not talking about this? Because there's no way you could bury a story like this. A woman is dead by the actions of ICE.
For sure. Noam said at a news conference earlier in the day that the agents' vehicles got stuck in the snow and that they were trying to push them out when the woman attacked them. It was an act of domestic terrorism. So here she is earlier in the day, clearly not even having seen the video. I mean, there's no way she saw what was going on and said this, because it's just too absurd. Like the second video is spin. This one is just from outer space. This is from outer space. This is clearly a person who has no idea what happened and is just talking out of her ass.
A shooting that we just had in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It was an act of domestic terrorism. What happened, it was our ICE officers were out in an enforcement action. They got stuck in the snow because of the adverse weather that is in Minneapolis. They were attempting to push out their vehicle, and a woman attacked them and those surrounding them and attempted to run them over and ram them with her vehicle. An officer of ours acted quickly and defensively shot to protect himself and the people around him. And my understanding is that she was hit and is deceased.
Okay, you're telling me that the car was stuck in the snow and that they were I mean, that's just not at all what happened.
No.
That's like a game of telephone gone wrong, where she did not understand the basics of what was going on.
It's a straight up lie, or nobody informed her about what happened when she made that dumb, stupid statement.
Well, it is a lie. I mean, it's factually, it is it's an untrue statement. Whether she had seen the video and decided to categorize it that way, I doubt it, because it's so absurd. It's not even plausible. Like, for a lie to work, it has to at least be plausible. This is the Secretary of Homeland Security. This is the head of the department making a statement like that, clearly kindest possible interpretation, not knowing the first thing about what she was talking about.
Exactly.
Not knowing the absolute basics of what she was talking about.
And as someone who's seen his fair share of, I think we've both seen our fair share of snowstorms where a vehicle is stuck, and that vehicle was not stuck in any kind of snowbank, any kind of icy road.
There was nothing. They were driving down the road. There was
nothing.
Yeah, it's just completely detached from reality.
Well, I mean, what more can we expect from an administration that lies about almost everything, especially this early part of 2026, where the Epstein files are redacted, why we're in Venezuela. I mean, everything else. I mean, it's nothing but lies. They can't telling the truth is an anathema to them.
Of course. So here's Trump's Truth Social statement following the events in Minneapolis. The top dog: I have just viewed the clip of the event which took place in Minneapolis. It is a horrible thing to watch. The woman screaming was obviously a professional agitator, and the woman driving the car was very disorderly, obstructing and resisting, who then violently, willfully, and viciously ran over the ICE officer, who seems to have shot her in self-defense. Based on the attached clip, it is hard to believe he is alive, but is now recovering in the hospital. The situation is being studied in its entirety, but the reason these incidents are happening is because of the radical left, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so this is the guy who he says is in the hospital recovering, and it's a miracle he's alive. These are the Hodge twins. These are Trumpers. These are Trump supporters. Saying Trump telling everybody that this dude is recovering in the hospital is crazy as hell. The guy walked away. The guy was
He's fine. He's okay.
Absolutely fine.
No body trauma, no limping.
No injuries at all. All right. Now, this guy maybe not as far right as the Hodge twins, but here he is, a self-proclaimed right-leaning witness, talking about how this ICE stuff has gone too far.
Morning, I was just getting up and I heard a bunch of commotion and whistling outside, and then I heard bang, 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 3 shots. I went to go look out the window, and it looked like there was a Honda over there that crashed, and I found out it was an observer that got shot and killed, and I saw them carry it. I got a bunch of video of them carrying the body to the ambulance and stuff. So there's an observer that got shot at an ICE raid of the house next door.
I'm sure that was a scary thing to witness.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty right-leaning, but seeing this is not what you need to do. This is not how to do it. It's not how we're supposed to do things around here in America. So
this kid's viral. For this kid is like the he's like the Ken Bone of 2026. You know, the straight down the middle normie. This kid is something else. Kid, are you there?
No, yeah, I'm here.
Oh, you're there. Okay.
Yeah, I'm listening. Yeah,
sure.
How many agents
I thought
and
you
other
froze,
people
but you're
were
very
when
still.
When it
I'm
first started,
listening.
there was maybe 20, but now there's hundreds, and then they got everybody out. So it's kind of crazy right now.
What's it been like seeing all of this?
Kind of scary. I lived during the riots in 2020, so it's kind of paralleling that right now. It's kind of same feeling. Hoping it doesn't, but it's getting a little rowdy.
Getting a little rowdy.
Well, I mean, I feel. Listen, the guy witnessed a woman lose her life, and no matter where you stand politically, I mean, come on, you got to have your humanity here. There's no justification for this. You're having diehard Trump supporters even saying, like, look, whoa, this isn't right. The guy is walking away fine. He's now in the hospital. The vehicle was not trapped in snow, and for all intents and purposes, again, I want to see that video that's on the cell phone. I mean, if the dude deleted it, I mean, that's evidence gone now. I mean, what was his overall guy's training? That's what I want to know. I want to know what the whole mindset and mission was to go ahead and be in Minneapolis right now. And I think we all know why.
We all know why. This is all part of the same op, starting with the reporting of a 23-year-old closeted homosexual whose opinions we all have to hang on now. Every word out of Nick Shirley's mouth is gold, according to half the country now. This is the extent to which this country has really just been flushed down the toilet. That's, of course, where this begins, and then it spirals into now we're going to send ICE in to go after the Somali fraud, right? And so, I mean, all this stuff happens in Minneapolis. Everything is descending upon this city. All right, so let's move on to another reaction from this. Of course, the mayor being a little less diplomatic than the kid in the Vikings hat here, telling ICE to get the fuck out of Minneapolis.
Say again that'll make this situation better, but I do have a message for our community, for our city, and I have a message for ICE. To ICE, get the fuck out of Minneapolis. We do not want you here. Your stated reason for being in this city is to create some kind of safety, and you are doing exactly the opposite. People are being hurt. Families are being ripped apart. Long-term Minneapolis residents that have contributed so greatly to our city, to our culture, to our economy are being terrorized, and now somebody is dead. That's on you. And it's also on you to leave. It's on you to make sure that further damage, further loss of life and injury is not done. We're going to be working towards justice as quickly as we possibly can right now, and justice is what we've all got to get.
So there he is telling ICE to get the fuck out. Big picture here. This is not making the country safer. It's not making these cities safer. It's not even keeping up with Barack Obama's pace of deportations. So at that point, you have to ask, what is this actually about? It is about policing the civilian population. The immigration issue was used as a pretext to justify the construction of a police state. ICE are the boots on the ground, Palantir are the eyes in the sky, and there you have it. That is big picture what's going on here. ICE does not make these cities safe. We've seen it over and over again. Every place they go, they bring chaos. And it's not just because of the protesters. It's not just because of the protesters. Once again, I don't think this woman should have been in her car in that way on the street.
Exactly.
It's just, to me, to be there, if you're protesting and you want to do civil disobedience and block the street and get arrested and go to jail, that's one thing. A car makes it a more dangerous situation where obviously the worst can happen, and in this case, the worst did happen. But irrespective of that, we've seen video after video after video of ICE officers dragging people out of the cars, breaking windows, beating people up. This does not make society safer or more stable or more prosperous. That kid there said it perfectly. That's why he went viral. He says, I'm pretty right-leaning, but when normal people see this, they understand this is insanity.
Right.
It's insanity. If you support this, it's because you're a sadistic person who gets off on the spectacle of it all.
I want to point out something. When ICE was in Chicago, it was somewhere on the South Side, they were detaining a individual who at least the accusation was that he was an illegal immigrant. However, it was in the middle of a busy street in Chicago on the South Side. And as ICE was having a hard time trying to put handcuffs on him, you had more and more people coming out surrounding ICE saying, let this man go. What is his crime? What are they doing? They saw that they were brutalizing him. It got to the point where almost everyone in the neighborhood, traffic was being stopped. ICE was surrounded and the CPD was nowhere in sight. And that is their effectiveness for crowd control, and that is causing more problems. And I think in many ways, the agenda is to cause chaos, to cause people to violently react because of just the amount of brutality that they're doing to a person. I mean, when you're seeing somebody getting kicked and beaten up, you're going to wonder, like, what's going on? And especially if it's out there in a busy street, or now, as we see, like on social media, people are going to respond to this. A woman has been executed. None of this needed to happen. And my warning is to everyone that will participate in these protests or trying to stop ICE agents. You do so at your own risk. They are trigger happy, and they will shoot to kill. A lot of these guys are not trained to do crowd control. A lot of them are not trained weapon discipline, and they will go ahead and shoot first and not ask questions at all, period. So do so at your own risk, but this isn't going anywhere anytime soon. And there's no way any media can spin this saying like, well, this was all justified. No, it's not justified. A woman is dead. Let's just come to terms with that. A U.S. citizen is dead with doing her First Amendment right to protest. And I think that matters to a lot of us, especially when it comes down to free speech and the right to organize. And this goes for the left and the right. What we saw here is a blatant abuse of power. And this could happen under any president.
Yes, indeed. All right. So, folks, we're going to take some super chats and some Rumble rants. Because Russ is not here today, I'm doing all the exhibits myself, which means I do need a couple minutes to load them in. So we're actually going to take a 2-minute musical break so that I can get myself organized for the remainder of the show. So we will be back in just a couple minutes. All right, everybody, we are back. Thanks. Sorry about that. We are back after a brief message, brief musical interlude. John Olmstead says, "Love you, Kit. So happy you're guest hosting. What a crazy day to be sitting in for Russell. Thank God we got a Midwesterner for today."
No, we love you. Midwest represent, as always.
Midwest represent, indeed. Thank you, John. Nong 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 says, Domoupil sounds like Pete Hegseth saying de Tocqueville after 5 martinis. Good one. Good one. Heavy Snack 385 says, this week the 2A Patriot crowd goes tonsils deep on Fed boots as they defend federal ICE agents publicly killing U.S. citizens. No, they're bootlicking. They're weak bootlicking men, and this is why I've called attention to the homoerotic undertones of MAGA. It's not because I'm homophobic. I don't have anything against gay people, but it's a way to explain their psychology. These people seek to be dominated by strong men who they love and whose love they want back. That is the Roman Empire. That is their psyche. Yes, exactly.
Right.
Okay. Fuentes' ex-post on the ICE murder is on par for this Christo-fascist regime. Murdering a frightened U.S. citizen is apparently America first and Christian. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. I have not seen that, but it does not surprise me. Any new sound drops on the board? No. And in fact, well, Russ made one for Nick Shirley, actually, on the last show. But I'm not really using the soundboard much because it's been causing me technical problems when I've tried. The StreamYard has been giving me problems with that. So I've been shying away from my soundboard game recently. Heavy Snack says, I'm going to rag on Fuentes in the Super Chats today. He is the George Rockwell mom says we have at home. Thank you. Me Shoot Skeet, thanks for the $4 super sticker. Nas M says, hi, Kit. Good to see ya.
All hail Prince. All hail Prince.
There we go. Kit has his crew in the house today.
And I love him.
Thanks to your last stream with the Michael Savage bit, I now pronounce MAGA like a sheep. Yeah. Yeah, MAGA. That guy's funny. This type of behavior makes the IDF blush. Go Jags. Thank you, 31 Ember. Appreciate that very much. Calcom says she tried to pull out but let another car go first and then wave the ICE truck through before they stopped. She hit reverse before the guy grabbed her door handle. She would have been looking behind. Certainly possible. Do you think Blondie will prosecute this guy? LOL. No. I mean, they could do a state investigation, which is interesting because that would be outside the jurisdiction of the federal government. No, I mean, obviously there's not going to be any federal prosecution of this guy. But Minnesota might decide to prosecute. I suspect they will. Whether they'll get an indictment, who knows? But we will see. We will learn more about this, obviously, as time goes on. Heavy Snack says, feds kill civilian rapid right-wing U.S. Hasbara. Yep. Richard Pemberton says, you guys are so right about the cynicism behind the focus on Somalis in Minnesota. My daughter-in-law is a Nigerian immigrant. We're terrified here in Minnesota. Oh, wow. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Richard, but thank you for letting me know, and I did not know you were in Minnesota, so please do keep in touch. Dark Matter Zombies, thanks for the $100. That's Landrew. We are all Palestinian now, free Palestine, and we will all be free. That is right, Landrew. 100%. I hope you'll forgive me. I'm not going to push it with your sound drop today because your sound drop is halfway down the board. And if I get kicked out of the stream today, all hell breaks loose because I'm doing all the exhibits. So, Landrew is dead. There we go. I'll do the sound drop. Landrew is dead.
No.
Myself. There we go.
No. Gordon's alive?
There we go. I did a makeshift sound drop for you there, my friend. Thank you very much for that. Okay. We have some Rumble rants here as well. Let me get this sorted out. Eric Rousseau. Trump says he controls the Venezuela oil and is in the oil selling business, but does he control the coffee? As a coffee addict, does this mean you Jews will be hawking Trump coffee now? That's right. How much coffee do they grow there? I mean, I guess they grow coffee in Venezuela, right? They got to grow a lot. They grow a lot in Colombia. They grow a lot in Colombia.
There's a lot, especially the booger sugar in Colombia. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah, strong.
The good stuff.
Strong coffee there. Wakes you up real good. To you NYC and Chicago dudes from an LA dude, tacos over pizza. Interesting perspective. Eric Rousseau. Certainly out there, tacos over pizza, no doubt. Russ, have you encountered any funny translations yet, like the famous Chinese lunch specials, fuck the duck until exploded, or German-type sexual harassment? Good one, Ravid Lass. He'll like that one. Okay, all right. We will move right along here. I do have some Rumble rants backed up in the queue.
I also found out about the Venezuelan coffee. So apparently it's historically rich, mellow, medium-bodied with notes of chocolate, nuts, and caramel. And it has been in decline due to the focus on oil. But apparently there is a second renaissance of Venezuelan coffee coming our way. But we'll see what happens due to recent events. I think that second renaissance is going to be postponed. But it has a natural, rich flavor, and it's very smooth.
All right, there we go.
See,
we'll
you
do
learned
ad reads for Venezuelan Trump coffee.
Yes,
exactly.
Give me some of that line right there. There you go.
There we go. All right, everybody. Well, one sound I can access on the board because it's luckily at the very tippy top is the 666 drop. So Kit has headbanging hair. Let's try it. Nice, awesome. Look at that. Well done. Well done. See, no guest host could do that the way you can. That's
there
for
you
sure.
go, man. There you go.
All right, so we're going to talk a little bit more about the ICE shooting in Minneapolis because this tweet from Janine Eunice went ultra viral, thanks in large part to a sort of ironic boost from the vice president himself, J.D. Vance. So Janine Eunice says, I'm a former defense attorney and currently a civil liberties attorney with no political dog in this fight. I watched the video at least 10 times from different angles and at different speeds and waited to offer an opinion, which I still reserve the right to change if additional information changes the calculus. It is very clear that the officers instigated the confrontation. The woman initially tried to wave them past her. By the way, Janine Eunice in her bio writes that she was canceled by the left over her COVID views and then canceled by the right over her Israel-Palestine views. So she is nonpartisan. In fact, I'm trying to get her on as a guest for the Jimmy Dore show tomorrow because I'll be hosting.
Great.
I don't know if that's going to be possible now because this went so viral. She's probably drowning in requests. But knock on wood, hopefully, cross fingers, I'll get to interview her tomorrow. We will see if that
The
happens.
best thing, she's hated by everybody on both sides. Welcome to the party.
Welcome to the party. That's right. ICE officers have no authority to search a U.S. citizen or arrest her unless there's probable cause to believe she's harboring undocumented individuals, not a contention here. Okay, so that's something that some people dispute. Don't forget, they're immigration and customs enforcement, right? So what she's arguing is that they had no authority to approach her in that way to begin with. They should have done what I said they should have done, which is call the city cops and have them deal with it if you need to. There's an argument to be made that they didn't need to because she wasn't impeding traffic. That's not clear to me either way from looking at the video. She was obviously parked awkwardly. She's blocking about half the street. She was waving cars through. To me, there's not enough information based on what we know now to determine that, whether or not any intervention was necessary. But certainly, you could make the argument, as Janine does, who's apparently much more qualified than I to make this kind of argument, that ICE should not have handled this. ICE should have gotten city cops to handle this. A woman surrounded by masked armed men who have no law enforcement authority over her has every right to try to escape. Video shows her steering wheel is turned to the right, clearly an attempt to leave without hitting anyone and steer clear of the officer standing towards the front of her car. That officer had time to step to the side, which is where he was when he shot her. Even a real police officer would not have the right to shoot at her for trying to flee. This is well established in the case law. Deadly force may not be used simply to prevent someone from getting away. Given that the ICE officers had no law enforcement authority to begin with, and the video footage shows she was trying to escape the perceived threat, not to kill anyone, the crime is all the more inexcusable. I'm praying for the victim's family, especially her children. I'm also praying for all the conservatives who are so unprincipled and lost their excusing this terrible crime and gloating over a death that will leave 3 young children motherless because of the victim's politics. Good for you. Well, one of those conservatives is the vice president of the United States who quote tweeted her. This is preposterous. First of all, she's not waving officers through and has no right to do so even if she were. She is waving another car through before the officers approach her car. Again, that is not conclusive based on the video, and I've seen the video. Second, the officers are not randomly searching her. They are approaching her vehicle because she is violating the law, namely she is obstructing a lawful enforcement operation. You're not allowed to walk up to or drive up to people who are enforcing the law to make it harder for them to do their jobs. Well, first of all, she didn't say they were searching her. She said or. And second, this is the kind of obscurantism that passes for discourse nowadays. Whether the woman in the car had the right to do what she was doing is a different question from whether or not ICE had the right and the authority to approach her the way they did. The argument that Janine Eunice is making is that ICE had no authority in that situation, therefore the woman had the right to flee. I don't know that to be true. That's what she's saying. But what I can tell you is true is that J.D. Vance is deliberately obscuring the argument here, because if what he's saying is true and that the woman was violating the law by parking her car the way she had it parked, that still leaves the option open for ICE to call the appropriate authority to come and handle the situation. Right? So this is how people become dumbed down and propagandized. Because what J.D. Vance is doing here is a very subtle and sneaky and dishonest way of reframing the relevant debate here and the relevant question here that Janine Eunice is raising. Even if this woman had no right to be where she was and have her car parked the way she was, which, again, I'm not a lawyer. I can't tell you either way whether or not that's true. But what I can say is that if she had no right to be there, the proper way to handle this would still have been to involve local authorities who have a modicum of training in this situation, who would have handled it a lot better. I guarantee you what wouldn't have happened if you called the Minneapolis PD, they wouldn't have sent 3 guys there, 2 of them to run up to the side of her car, 1 of them to start grabbing at the door while the other one wanders in front of the car. They would not have handled it that way. They would not have handled it that way. They would have calmly approached her and they would have said, ma'am, these officers are asking you to move. You're in their way. If you don't move, we're going to have to take you in and book you, at which point the woman has a choice. She either says, nope, arrest me, I'm standing on principle, or okay, I'll be on my way. And that would have been the end of it. That would have been the end of it. But that's not what happened.
And now it's the vice president using his office is now basically tying the entire administration to this. I mean, already Trump added it in his
they're all
in on it. But this is like you have the vice president saying that this is all preposterous. But the point is, a woman has been executed. All right, this was a full-on escalation of force, and anybody with 2 functioning eyes can see it, unless you want to twist it into a different type of narrative, which is what we're seeing from this administration. They already lied about the vehicle being snowed in. They already lied about the ICE agent being in the hospital.
First words out of their mouth were bullshit.
So it's all lies right now. I mean, this is something to expect from this administration, but it's also transparent because you know that this administration is going to lie to you no matter what. And this is just only going to cause this administration to do more knee-jerk reactions of bringing in more ICE agents to sanctuary cities or going all over the country doing this. I mean, again, these ICE agents have for a very long time instigated a lot towards different communities all across this country. And with ICE acting the way that it has, I mean, I'm surprised earlier on that people haven't lost their lives or people haven't been injured or permanently damaged because of the actions of these operations. I mean, in Chicago, we dodged a giant bullet. I'm surprised of what has happened here in this city, that things did not escalate to the point of no return. But now we are there. We are here, and we are seeing overall this administration trying to do double time in covering up the actions of ICE. And already I'm seeing people private message me, give me videos of protesters and protests happening and growing right now in Minneapolis as we speak right now while we're live.
Of course. All right. Vance goes on. Third, this defense attorney is drawing a meaningless distinction between an ICE officer and a real police officer. I very much doubt that's a meaningless distinction. I very much doubt that. In fact, I know that is not a meaningless distinction. You know how I know that? Because this administration insists over and over again that to interfere with ICE in any way is to commit a federal crime because they're federal officers. So by definition, there is a difference between a local state official and a federal official. The administration themselves have made that point over and over again. So to act as if that is a meaningless distinction is, once again, just extremely dishonest. Again, you're not allowed to interrupt a lawful enforcement operation, which is exactly what this woman was doing. Again, assuming that is true, the question is, who should have been called in to handle it?
The police.
The police.
The local law enforcement who have training, okay? And there's a lot of criticism towards the police that we can give, but at least at the end of the day, their training is far more superior than what we see from ICE.
Right.
Whatever kind of training ICE is going through, it is the exact opposite of what I learned in the Marine Corps, and I'm sure hell it's the exact opposite of what you learned from the police department. This is an absolute abuse of power.
Yeah.
That's what we're seeing here.
The sort of reducto ad absurdum extension of this argument would be, okay,
one other thing here too, this is not how you make a country great. I get that there are illegal immigrants here. I understand it. This is a failure of a lot of politicians, Democrat and Republican. The reason why we have a migrant crisis in the first place is because of previous administrations, the war on drugs, sanctions,
Well, of course.
regime change wars. That's why people are flooding the border. It's because of Democrat and Republican presidents of days past, former U.S. senators and House representatives, Team Red and Team Blue. That's why we're here right now, because of their dumbass decisions, and we're paying a bloody price because of it, because of neoliberalism, corporatism, and it was a country that claims it's a constitutional republic. We have an oligarchy. So everyone stop thinking that this midterm election cycle, that people are, what, if we get Democrats in, things are going to change. No, they won't. ICE was still around under Obama. The kids were in cages. Hell, when Trump got into office, he did the old Coca-Cola Classic. It was like that when I got here. And the machine kept rolling on. Why we're here now is because of politicians who have failed us and purposely led us here because of their greedy decisions, because their corporate owners, donors, told them to do this.
Yeah, well,
there we go.
Yes, well said. But so, as I was saying, if you take the sort of reducto ad absurdum version of this argument, right, and you say, well, there's no difference between an ICE officer and a real police officer, because the operative concept here is that you are simply not allowed to do what this woman was doing. Okay, so if you're going to make that argument, that because she wasn't allowed to do what she was doing, there's really no distinction to be made between an ICE officer and a real police officer. What if a civilian vigilante just took into their own hands that they're going to charge at her with a gun and say, move or I'm going to blow your head off? They're not allowed to do that. In other words, just because the woman is not allowed to do what she's doing doesn't mean that any action against her is permissible. Fourth, the officer didn't discharge his weapon to prevent her from fleeing. When he discharged his weapon, she had pointed the vehicle at him and pressed the gas. He discharged his weapon in self-defense, and other angles of the video show the woman clearly hit the officer with her car while accelerating. Well, we took a look at the video. You can check that out in another segment. Like I said, I would fully concede she should not have panicked and jerked the car around in that way. It seemed pretty obvious to me that she was preoccupied with the guy on the left side of the car trying to rip the door open. And when she hit the gas and went straight, it was because she was looking sideways, which, again, that was a poor decision on her part. I'm not defending that. I'm not even defending the wisdom of the decision to involve her vehicle at all. But just because someone acts in an ill-advised way, even in a reckless way, that does not justify the actions of an armed agent firing 3 shots at her, all of which were from the side. If you look at all 3 of the gunshots, all 3 of them were from the side, which I'll show you in a second. The gaslighting here is off the charts, and I'm having none of it. Yeah, no, your gaslighting is off the charts. That's whose gaslighting is off the charts, okay? Glenn Greenwald steps in and plays referee. Says, for those attacking Janine Eunice because of this post, she was one of the lead lawyers in a key suit against the Biden administration for violating the First Amendment by coercing big tech to censor critics and dissent. She is one of the most consistent civil libertarians around. That is true. But if there's one thing we've learned about the MAGA movement is that their concern for civil liberties was always a scam. They never gave a damn about any of it. That's been obvious since Mahmoud Khalil was locked in a cage for 104 days for expressing an opinion that the government did not like. And by the government, I don't mean our government. I mean our real government. I mean the Israeli government. So here are the 3 images. By the way, these are borrowed from the last segment, but just for the sake of disclosure, in case you're watching this clip as a standalone, this is 1/30th of a second before shot number 1 was fired. I clipped it this way because we're not allowed to show fatal violence on YouTube. But here he is, his feet planted on the side of the car, in back of the officer and more in the foreground who's grabbing at the door. Shot number 2, it's not even a question. Shot number 2, his feet are planted a foot away from the car. Shot number 3, more than a foot away from the car. You're telling me those were defensive shots? Those were not defensive shots.
Nope.
Not even a question about the second 2. Even on the first one, I would say it's a very, very, very suspect action to have taken. And again, you want conclusive evidence? The guy had his camera pointed right at her. If he has footage of her looking him dead in the eye while she was putting the car in drive and going right at him, show us that evidence. I'm an open-minded guy. I don't have an axe to grind in this case. I always take the position that someone is innocent until proven guilty. I thought that way about Kyle Rittenhouse. I thought there was nowhere near enough evidence to convict him. Everybody who's watched this show for any length of time knows I am very consistent on that issue. I thought the January 6thers were persecuted, right?
Yep.
I am of the opinion you only lock a person in a cage when it is absolutely provable that they deserve to be there and when absolutely necessary. So if this guy has footage of her backing the car up, looking at him, putting the car in drive, and gunning the car straight at him, show me that. Show me that, and I'll take all this back. I highly doubt that is what happened. Highly doubt that is what happened. In fact, I'm pretty much certain that's not what happened based on what we're seeing here.
Again, I'm very curious where the phone is right now. If the video footage, if it was deleted. Just want to remind everyone that when you do delete a video, it does go in the trash bin file. So if there are people investigating it, check the trash file before anything else, because then you have to delete it again. You have to delete something twice. Remember that. That's how it's done. But then again, there's always that digital footprint. There's always anything can be found. Anything can be found on a smartphone now, because thanks to NSA, CIA, and Palantir. Palantir.
Why you here? Palantir.
Exactly. So just to remind everyone, this due process and the discovery now is going to have to take place. And I'm wondering if this guy will make it, because you know what? A disparaging thought crossed my mind about this guy maybe disappearing. Go.
I mean,
it wouldn't be the first time.
If this administration were smart, they would have just thrown this ICE officer under the bus and say, "Yeah, man, that was not.
Yeah, this guy's dumb.
Right? That was not called for. We don't appreciate that." But that's not what they're going to do, because that's not where they're coming from. If this were a good faith effort to get criminal aliens out of the country, that's what they would do. But the point of ICE is to provoke disruptive protests, which then further justify the further completion of the police state, of which ICE is an integral part. That's their goal. That's why they doubled down on this guy. That's why Kristi Noem came out as aggressively as she did, quickly, without any information, because events like this justify the police state infrastructure that they're building.
Just like the minority report system that they're trying to do, like, scan people's retinas for pre-crime. They're trying to get us all under surveillance, thanks to AI, thanks to behavioral technology and third-party apps that are just scanning us and following us along. It's all about control, and it's all about putting the fear in people's mindsets. So, we're going to have the dystopian AI. It won't be Terminator. At least the Terminators from 1 and 2 were honest. At least they were going to shoot you and you had a chance to fight back. This one, no, they're going to make you a slave to the system, slave to fear. If something happens, you're a bad guy. If something the state does, you're a bad guy. And the AI will say you're a bad guy. No due process. Just the AI will say, like, yep, you're bad.
That's right. All right. So we will move right on along here. A Heavy Snack says Noam shot her own dog. This is a Tuesday for her. Thank you, Heavy Snack. Appreciate that. Larry Coldwater says that whenever any form of government becomes destructive as these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it and institute new government. Thank you, Larry. Cryosynth, under Christie, pit boss Noam's hat is the horror of the Event Horizon. Thank you.
Oh, R.I.P. to the crew of the Event Horizon.
That's right. That's right. Nocturnal Human, everyone involved in the ICE thing made bad decisions, but when you go around the country pointing guns at people and harassing them, something like this was inevitable. ICE is the violent element. Of course, no question about it. Nocturnal Human, copied that over twice. Vianticus, everything's a scam, everything's a lie, everything's hypocrisy, and so I don't comply. Thank you, Vianticus. EO Shush says, I don't want to see anybody killed, but she is an unworthy victim with pronouns in your name, acting as a human shield for Somalia fraudsters who are financing Muslim terrorism. Thank you, EO Shush. EO is just joking for those who don't know EO. Stoop sign, Juan Espinoza Martinez, an alleged Latin Kings gang member, was arrested in October 2025 for offering a $10,000 bounty for the murder of Border Patrol Chief Gregory Bovino. EO Shush says, I don't want to see anybody killed. Oh, sorry. What did I do? Did I copy these over twice? When Christie, I hate puppies, Noam says that civilians are terrorists and that ICE has the right to take them out. How is that different from how Iran is enforcing their protests, or Russia and China? Yeah, it's interesting that this happens right as they're threatening Iran to respect people's right to protest, right? Exactly. Good point, Goo81. Appreciate that. Jim Talib, thanks for the super sticker. Appreciate that. Edward Campbell says the entirety of this administration should sign off their statements and tweets with 2 + 2 = 5. Exactly. Yes.
The correct answer.
Good point. All right, folks. So, it's kind of awkward on a day like today when the news is so clearly one big thing and it's so sad and so tragic. It's kind of difficult to make that pivot to other news of the day. But there is other news that we have to cover, and some of it is quite important. Some of it is just comic relief, which I think we owe to ourselves on a day like today. But before we get into the comic relief, I do want to do another serious story. Donald Trump, the peace president, calls for $1.5 trillion military budget in 2027, up from $901 billion in 2026. That's right. While everybody was talking about the ICE killing yesterday, this news dropped. Wow, that is quite the proposed increase.
Where are we getting this money from? That's what I want to know. Money printed to go burr.
Yeah. President Donald, he says it's going to come from tariffs. That's his answer for everything. So all that tariff money, right, that we were supposed to get, I thought that was going to be to rebuild the working class, rebuild our manufacturing infrastructure, right? Nope. No, that's gonna go to the military for a $1.5 trillion budget. President Donald Trump said on Wednesday the 2027 U.S. military budget should be $1.5 trillion, significantly higher than the $901 billion approved by Congress for 2026, boosting defense stocks, but sparking skepticism among budget experts. Oh, is that right? Any such increase in the military budget would require congressional authorization, which could pose a challenge, although Trump's Republicans, who hold slim majorities in both the Senate and House of Representatives, have shown little appetite for objecting to Trump's spending plans. That was true several months ago. I think that is less true now. One thing that you've really seen take place over the Epstein Files saga is you've seen Trump's grip on the Republican Congress slip a bit, where members are less afraid to defy him than they were in the past. But we will have to wait and see about that. Here is the truth post from Donald Trump. After long and difficult negotiations with senators, congressmen, secretaries, and other political representatives, I have determined that for the good of our country, especially in these very troubled and dangerous times. I wonder why they're troubled and dangerous times. I thought you were going to be the peace president. It seems like they're troubled and dangerous times because of your constant agitating. Does your saber rattling against Greenland constitute troubled and dangerous times? The guy's up here complaining.
One day to end the war in Ukraine.
Yeah, one day to end the war in Ukraine. This guy's bitching about how troubled and dangerous the times are. You're threatening to annex Greenland. Something no one saw coming. No one saw coming. Our military in these troubled and dangerous times, our military budget for the year 2027 should not be $1 trillion, but rather $1.5 trillion. This will allow us to build the dream military that we have long been entitled to, and more importantly, that will keep us safe and secure regardless of foe. If it weren't for the tremendous numbers being produced by tariffs from other countries, many of which in the past have ripped off the United States at levels never seen before, I would stay at the $1 trillion number. But because of tariffs and the tremendous income that they bring, amounts being generated that would have been unthinkable in the past, especially just 1 year ago during the sleepy Joe Biden administration, the worst president in the history of our country, we are able to easily hit the $1.5 trillion number while at the same time producing an unparalleled military force and having the ability to, at the same time, pay down debt and likewise pay a substantial dividend to moderate income patriots within our country. Notice he says moderate income patriots. He doesn't say middle to low income patriots.
No, none.
Okay, so this is just obvious fantasy. I mean, it's obvious delusion on top of just being informed by a very sort of diabolical view of how the world should work and what our place in it should be. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I do want to say this. Where's our supposed peace politician Tulsi Gabbard with all of this? 1.5 trillion going to the budget.
She's on a yoga retreat. What's the matter with you? You don't like yoga?
No, I don't. I don't like yoga, and I don't like yogurt, and I don't like frogurt.
Why are you judging her? You know, she's just trying to get away from it all for a couple weeks to do some yoga, and here you are judging her.
I'm going to be a highfalutin online streamer, smugly be like, well, where is she? Where is she? She's supposed to comment on this.
You're acting like you're entitled to know what she's doing, doing with her time.
Absolutely. Because sooner or later, she's got to come back to work. Sooner or later, she's got to comment like, hey, Tulsi time right now. Better make it count.
Kit Cabello asks Tulsi Gabbard to make him sandwich. That's going to be the headline of this clip.
Spot on. Yes, we're rolling with that. Make me a peace sandwich.
Yeah, right.
Gluten and vegan.
Right, exactly. The news followed a separate Truth Social post from Trump blasting defense companies for producing weapons too slowly. In it, he pledged to block defense contractors from paying dividends or buying back shares until they accelerated production. Trump said the extra spending would be covered by revenues generated by tariffs he has imposed on nearly every country and many industrial sectors, and the U.S. would still be able to reduce its debt and send dividend checks on moderate income Americans. The Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget, a nonpartisan think tank, estimated the proposal would cost $5 trillion through 2035. Well, that's pretty fucking easy math to do. I don't know if you need a think tank to do that. Yeah, it's $500 billion a year. Over 10 years, that would make $5 trillion, while adding $5.8 trillion to the U.S. debt with interest. It said only half the cost should be covered by tariffs in place now, noting that the Supreme Court could rule that a large set of tariffs were illegal. That's right. These tariffs might just be undone outright. In fact, many have speculated that the reason why Donald Trump says shit like this is to sort of subtweet the Supreme Court and kind of nudge them to uphold the tariffs, because he's talking about all these great things he's going to be able to do with the tariff money. A lot of people think he's working the refs. I've heard that as a theory, and it's not a bad theory in my opinion. The Bipartisan Policy Center estimates that the combined tariffs raised $288 billion in 2025, well below Trump's own estimates, which have fluctuated around the $600 billion mark in recent days. So, Tucker Carlson, on his episode that he dropped last night, dropped a red pill on us here, brought some more bad news to us here, saying that, in his opinion, the United States is headed for a world war, because why else would you demand that kind of increase to the military budget?
I'm Qatar. We're not going to threaten to murder the Ayatollah on Fox News. That's not how an empire behaves. We're going to make calculated, wise decisions about what's good for us and what's good for the part of the world that we rule over. The second thing you do once you announce that you're an empire is think through where this is going to go in the next several years. Like, what does the world look like 5-10 years from now? Well, today, about an hour and a half ago, the president announced that he is hiking the Pentagon budget from $1 trillion to $1.5 trillion. Just announced that. Why? Well, it's hard to know without asking him. He'll explain. But big picture, obviously, that's the kind of budget that a country that anticipates a global or regional war has for its military. There's no other reason to do that. That's not a peacekeeping budget. That's a war budget, a big war budget. So I think it's fair to expect, and all the signs suggest, that we're going to have a big war soon. A big war soon. I think everyone expects that to happen. Hope it doesn't happen, but obviously we're moving in that direction, toward a world war. Sorry.
Sorry.
No,
That to me,
that's honesty right there. I mean, look, we already saw what happened. We took the kidnapped the president of Venezuela. We are threatening to invade Greenland, annex Greenland, threatening to take over Cuba, threatening to do the same thing to the Colombian president. And Trump recently made the same threats to now the interim president of Venezuela right now again. So, yeah, we're probably heading towards a global conflict, the likes of which we have not seen 80 years ago. And it's going to be calculated strikes, but it's going to be the point of no return. It will be.
No, Tucker seems very confident of this now. Not so confident of this when he was campaigning for Trump in 2024, largely under the assumption that he was the peace candidate. This is MAGA in a nutshell now.
It doesn't happen, but obviously we're moving in that direction, toward a world war. Sorry. That to me is the sound. If I had to distill the MAGA movement in half a second now, it would be this. Toward a world war.
Ready? Here goes.
Sorry.
Sorry. That's going to be our new sound drop. When I get the soundboard working again, that's going to be my new sound drop. Just sorry. Every time something terrible happens, just
sorry.
Well, sorry. I mean, let's rewind back the clocks. When in 2024 was happening, Trump was on this wave of being the absolute opposite of Joe Biden. Joe Biden was a terrible candidate. Democrats ran a terrible primary. I mean, you were there covering the Democratic primary in New Hampshire. I mean, it was an absolute disaster. And Kamala Harris here in Chicago was an absolute disaster. I mean, the DNC convention in Chicago was a complete joke. And you had a lot of big time influencers like Joe Rogan. You had Theo Vaughn, you had Aiden Ross. You had a lot of people, hitch their name, brand, and podcasts to the Trump campaign, that he was going to be an anti-war, a lot
of people.
Candidate. And
a lot
now
of people did it. Yeah,
everybody's eating crow now because we are now in deep. I don't recall Greenland being part of his policy or annexing or even getting Canada.
No, so much of it was absolute bullshit. I mean, and look, I appreciate a lot of what Tucker has said over the past year. I think he's been a very valuable voice, but it is pretty funny to when you take stock of you look at these guys a year and a half ago with their expectations for Donald Trump's second term, and now they're
world war. Sorry.
Hey, listen. Sorry. Turns out we're gonna do World War III. Sorry about that. Sorry. Just kind of funny in a tragic way. But no, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. Here's Lindsey Graham, who cannot stop frothing at the mouth.
He's a horn dog. No,
with Iran.
Did you see him on that airplane ride with Trump?
Course.
And he was like, yeah. He was ready to give a hand job to Trump right there on the airline.
Yeah, of course. I like the commentary here. Can the people of South Carolina stop electing this gay clown? Yes, here is Lindsey Graham. Just cannot stop agitating for a war with Iran.
Trump is not Barack Obama. He has your back. And to the Ayatollahs, you need to understand, if you keep killing your people who are demanding a better life, Donald J. Trump is going to kill you. Change is coming to Iran. It'll be the biggest change in the history of the Mideast to get rid of this Nazi regime. To the people of Iran, help is on the way.
Help is on the way. He's ready to start the war right now.
Why are you calling it a Nazi regime? There's a difference between the Ayatollah's administration and policy and politics and the Third Reich. And somebody named first name Adolf, last name Hitler. Okay, there's a vast difference between the two. And there's a reason why the Ayatollah is there. It's because in the 1950s, our government, along with the British government, British oil, American oil, CIA, British intelligence services, removed the national government because they want to nationalize the oil in Iran. And we replaced it with the Shah. And things were not all happy. Coca-Cola classic, friendly smiles all around. Just because women were wearing Western clothing? No, things were bad for the whole country when it was under the Shah. And in turn, there was a revolution. And in turn, that's how we got the Ayatollah. consequences done by presidents and politicians and big oil that led us where we're at now. So the reason why we're dealing with the Ayatollah is because of what the U.S. did in the 1950s. We got rid of a democracy, a national government, a potential republic in that area. I only can imagine what would happen if maybe, I don't know, if we invested in a national government of Iran. Maybe there would have been a second democracy there. How things would have been gradually different. But hey, big oil has to make its monopoly.
Of course. It's a decades-long project. So DD Geopolitics says this raises questions that should alarm everyone. How does a $1.5 trillion dream military get paid for? Because the timing isn't subtle. In the same breath, this administration announces the largest military budget in human history. It is seizing control over Venezuela's oil revenues, forcing exclusive purchasing agreements with U.S. firms, maintaining a naval blockade to enforce compliance, intercepting foreign energy shipments in the Caribbean. At some point, this stops being tariffs and starts looking like extraction. Empire has always funded its armies the same way, by turning foreign sovereignty into revenue streams. Iraq paid for the war on terror with its oil. Libya paid with its state collapse. Now Venezuela is being openly folded into the U.S. economic military apparatus. Yes, bingo. When the president says this budget is affordable because of income generated abroad, the implication seems to be that the military pays for itself by conquering the economies it subjugates. History is very clear about where that model leads. Power without moral grounding hollows out the soul of a nation first and then consumes the empire itself. Yes, very well put. I love that last sentence so much I will repeat it. Power without moral grounding hollows out the soul of a nation first and then consumes the empire itself. That is a fact of history, apart from being a great insight into the present moment. And you talk about the hollowing out of the soul of a nation. Yeah. Here's Andrew Tate.
Oh, this dude. Listen, if
gloating about a Greenland invasion.
I don't want to hear about how this guy's going to fight on the front lines when he got his ass handed to him last year. That was the best Christmas present I could ever see of that dude getting smacked around. Him and everybody else that claims to be this red pill. You know what? To the suckers out there, you gave your money to this guy for this dude to teach you how to talk to women. None of you who gave money to this dude are ever going to talk to women or ever be successful in talking to women, okay? And this dude being the frontline fighter in Greenland, he's going to be the first one to bitch and moan. I could see it in his body. I could see it in his tone. This man does not have a fighter's or a warrior's spirit in him at all to be on the front lines. He will cry, bitch, and moan because he's not in his hotel. He made a video explaining why he lost because he wasn't prepared. Because you didn't train for it, buddy. You got smacked around for the whole world to see. This is the big red pill guy that people go to. If you use this guy for advice for dating, no wonder women don't talk to you. It's no wonder.
Well, yeah, that's certainly true. But here he is, talk about the decay of a soul of a nation. Here he is ranting about how we need to take Greenland. I have to go audio only from this for comical reasons, because the guy, while he's doing this, is waving a machine gun around. And we've had problems. Nick got in trouble for showing a video of a guy. Brandishing a weapon is another thing YouTube is very serious about. We need new YouTube rules for these end times, right? They're too strict.
We can't. 2016 YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we can't cover the news here. But here is the audio. This conveys the message.
By extension, all the countries we're going to invade, please leave red. By extension, I want to make this very fucking clear to everybody at home. Greenland is ours. Fuck them Eskimos. If we want it, we're going to fucking take it. And guess what the Greenlandics are going to do? Fucking nothing. You ain't going to do shit when Army Rangers are waving fucking fully automatic weapons in your face. And what language do they even speak up there? Some clicks and shit. Get on the ground!
So now he's waving a gun around, which we can't show you here.
Trying to run away on a sled dog. Fuck you. You ain't getting away from us. You're on a little fucking whipping your dogs and a fucking Black Hawk Apache comes. You're worse than the fucking Pakis down in Iraq. You just had a fucking hope in hell. This is America. So shut the fuck up. We're tier 1. Tier 1 operators. Fuck Greenland.
Yep. So, a $1.5 trillion military budget. We'll see if that comes to pass. But I mean, Kit, you've watched these, history documentaries. What is the YouTube channel you like? The End of Empires one?
No, the Fall of Civilization podcast.
Fall of Civilization. That's right. So you've spoken about the historical patterns of imperial decline and imperial collapse. It's astounding that a guy like Tate. I mean, it's not astounding because he's a fucking ignorant moron. But it's just wild to watch it happen in front of your eyes and to see the symptoms laid out as clearly as that. With the knowledge that this is literally the pride before the fall. This is mid collapse. This isn't even the beginning of collapse. This is mid collapse behavior being exhibited by people who clearly have no self-awareness whatsoever to place themselves in the context of what is a well-established historical pattern going back thousands of years.
I want to add in here. So, like, empires falling, it is a cycle, and we've seen it get repeated time and time again. And one thing I think in one documentary, which was about Mali, for example. Where the podcaster, the host, is talking about the rise of empires, and it's always a violent phenomenon and how they consume and take over their neighbors, client states, and eventually enemies, to where they become perpetually in war, to where they have to constantly keep on expanding,
right?
And eventually they collapse under their own weight. It is a story that is all too familiar, and there have been attempts to preserve said nation state, but the nation state, the empire, cannot be preserved because of the mindset of constantly being under predatory need to consume and do land grab. And then it always decays from within because the society cannot maintain this kind of control and power, and then take care of the people. There was, and again, when the empires start off, there's always the people are taken care of. There's that, and then the state taking more land. But then the power starts overwhelming, and the people get oppressed, pushed aside, and that's how, again, resentment happens. That's how people no longer are invested in said state and lose confidence in said government. And all this attempt to control with surveillance, every nation, every empire has tried to do surveillance and control, not to the extent that we have here now. I want to be very clear on there's a vast difference. But you can only prevent the inevitable from happening. All empires do fall. This is a fundamental fact. There's no argument about it. The Romans, the Mongol Empire, all of them have the same beginning, and all of them have the same end. There is no cure for it. And the very fact that we have the United States bordering with Canada, you have a sitting president saying that we're going to annex Canada. That is the longest border in human history that is completely demilitarized. Now, yes, there might be some checkpoints here and there, but as the most peaceful border in international history, and we're saying that we're going to annex them and make them our 51st state. We're going to take Greenland. I don't want to hear advice from Andrew Tate saying what we're going to take when he's, number one, not an American. Number two, when he flew into Florida, the Florida Attorney General was filing charges against him and his fantastic brother. So this guy's telling U.S. citizens, like, yes, we're going to take Greenland. Dude isn't going to be on the front lines because, one, he's not one of us. And number two, he left Florida, of all places. So I don't want to hear this crap from him about how we're going to take Greenland. Unless, hey, you want to volunteer? You want to be on that front line? Go ahead.
They'll make
you
him
go
the
down
ambassador to Greenland. That'll be a fun job for him. Yeah. We're at 2021 in the YouTube chat. Smash that like button. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Appreciate you all. All right. Now, we're going to have some fun. A little bit of comic relief. In our next segment. But first, let's take some Rumble Rants and Super Chats. D&D is K&K today. Awesome. Kit, could you lighten the mood with Mary Sue Mayberry, or the Chinese girl that opens the beer bottle?
Oh,
that's one cool
Tina
chick
Mayberry. Yes,
that always
Tina
made me smile. Thanks, Kit.
Yes, there you go.
There you go.
Tina Mayberry. Don't worry. I'm going to make her a good woman.
Victor Shakopopoulos, Maduro and Diddy held strategic oil reserves. That's the real reason they've both been seized by the U.S. government. Good one. I like that. Nujoma, it was Israeli self-defense. Exactly. Sure seems like an IDF type move to me. I can't wait for infantry to engage in firefights with tribes throwing whale blubber Molotovs, in Greenland.
Oof.
Also putting IEDs inside of whales and fighting with whale ivory bayonets. Don't nuke. Ha, good one. Good one. Nuke. I like that. Richard Pemberton, do the feds have jurisdiction? If so, will they even charge? The jurisdiction question is above my pay grade to answer. I'm sure they could because the incident involved a federal officer, so I'm sure they could claim jurisdiction if they wanted to. There's no chance in hell the feds are going to charge. It'll be a Minnesota state prosecution if it happens. That would be my answer. Vito says, it's Vito. Shout out to my Chicago brother Kit. Chicago pizza is the best. Cancer sucks. You all rock.
That's
Thank you,
right.
Vito.
F cancer, and shout out to my people who are fighting against cancer, okay? Don't give up the fight.
Kuznetsky Bassane, far out. Kit's on DD. That's right.
Right.
That's what happens when you hire the pigs from Duke Nukem. Yeah, exactly. It does remind me of Duke Nukem. That's funny. It's Blast from the Past reference there. Megan McQueen says Vance is giving a press conference right now. Said the victim was part of a far-left lunatic fringe who engage in domestic terrorism. That is not surprising you would say that. USA really was the freest country in the world and an inspiration for revolution, including in my own country for a long time. Please sort out your shit. Thank you, Gavin. Mexico is the number one oil seller to Cuba, says Heavy Snack. My 400,000 polymarket parlay, Mexico, Cuba, Greenland, if we don't buy it. Iran, Yemen, and then the Pacific. Remember when Bibi said he was reading about Rome? Yep. Yes, indeed. Michael Castillo gifted a membership. Thank you, Michael Castillo. Appreciate that, man. Interrobang says HLM t-shirt idea. Tulsi, make me a sandwich. Yeah, there we go. That'd be good.
I want a finger point like, yes, make me a sandwich, Tulsi. It's Tulsi time. Make me a vegan, gluten-free sandwich.
That's right. All right, we will move right on along. All right, folks, I know it's been kind of a heavy show so far. Let's have a little bit of fun. Who is a source of entertainment nowadays? Tony Domoupil or Domoupil, whatever the hell his name is, over at CBS News. So he was supposed to do his big America tour starting in San Francisco, and then they switched that up because of the Venezuela invasion. But now here he is back on the road in Florida, which we're going to find out in a minute is his home state. It's his home state. That's where he grew up.
That Miami connection.
Yeah, exactly. But here he is saluting another Florida man, Marco Rubio. We salute you. This is so cringeworthy. Tony Domoupil, new CBS Evening News MAGA anchor, devotes entire segment to gushing over Trump minion Marco Rubio.
In America, the many lives and many jobs of Marco Rubio, the son of Cuban immigrants and a former Florida senator. He's now the face of U.S. foreign policy and President Trump's point man on Venezuela, all in addition to his roles as Secretary of State, interim National Security Advisor, and acting National Archivist and USAID chief. Whatever you think of his politics, you got to admit it's an impressive resume. And now AI memes have added to that portfolio, casting Secretary Rubio as the new governor of Minnesota, the new Shah of Iran, the Prime Minister of Greenland, the new manager of Manchester United, the head of Hilton Hotels, and highest of high honors of all, the new Michelin Man.
This is CBS Evening News. This is the esteemed. This is the guy who said he's going to put Walter Cronkite to shame. Showing memes of Marco Rubio as the Michelin Man.
This is how we know we're at idiocracy now. I mean, this is idiocracy levels, but at the same time too. Hey, dude, get Rubio's cock out of your mouth, man. My God. Yeah. I mean, you're going all in it more than anyone on backroom casting couch. And anyone
back in real life,
how do you know that?
Of course, these memes may not add up to much, but for Rubio's hometown fans, which are many around here in Miami, it is a sign of how Florida, once an American punchline, has become a leader on the world stage. Marco Rubio, we salute you. You're the ultimate Florida man.
Oh.
And that's another day in America and in Miami. For CBS News, I'm Tony DeCopel. We'll see you tomorrow, live from Dallas.
Dallas, the tour continues. So, that got a lot of criticism, rightfully so. Newsman here glazing the Secretary of State. But this really takes the cake, folks. This really takes the cake. Back in his hometown of Miami for the new CBS Evening News, Tony DeCopel took a moment to reflect on his childhood there in an emotional conversation with CBS Miami's Lauren Pastrana. So they gave a local correspondent her 15 minutes of fame. They said, hey, why don't you come and interview Tony Domoupil, because get it? He grew up in Miami. So why don't we have a nice little interview about what it's like for him being back home? And look at how this goes. He starts crying on air.
I doubt the validity of these tears, though. I doubt the validity of them.
Great. It's funnier if they are real.
You said this is your favorite place in the world. Why? Why South Florida and Miami?
God. What? It makes me emotional. It's so funny. I didn't think it would catch it. You know. Because you only have one childhood, right? So. Let me get a second.
Where are the tears at?
This is home.
Oh, that's so great.
People will to help people understand why I have such a reaction.
Okay, wait for it, folks. Wait. That Miami
Florida's
connection.
where I grew up.
Yes, it's where you grew up.
He keeps crying. He can't pull it together after a minute. Sorry.
My grandmother's here. My
What a
father,
fucking
my mother,
Yeah, okay,
my aunts
come
and
on.
uncles, cousins.
So you set this local woman up with this guy. I'm like, all right, hey, this is gonna be a nice little chummy segment where you just ask what it's like being back home. Figure, all right, whatever. It's gonna be like a couple minutes. It'll be a nice little thing.
Wait, check it out here.
And for a minute straight, he can't pull it together. I don't think he's faking, because if he were faking, he'd have had like a moment and then he'd have gone on. Like, if you're gonna fake tears, you would fake it for like a few seconds. You'd be like,
hold on.
I'm sorry.
54.
Okay. And then he would
one of my
go.
viewers.
You wouldn't fake it for this long. This goes on for almost 2 fucking minutes. The guy can't talk.
One of my people, Prim54, says, did he go to the Erica Kirk School of Crying? Because that's right there.
Dude, I really don't think he's fake. The reason I don't think he's faking, because if you wanted to fake it, if you wanted to look like you were becoming overwhelmed with emotion, you would fake it in such a way where, like, okay, I'm going to act like this is really emotional, but then I'm going to pull it together and I'm going to carry through. Like, that's what you would do. You wouldn't act in a way that makes you look like a hysterical girl who can't control herself. And that's the way he looks like. It goes on forever. Like, he doesn't look
you only
good.
have one childhood, right? So.
Okay, here we go.
Let me get a second
No,
here.
you're okay. I can
Okay,
relate.
buddy.
This is home.
It's Trey.
People will to help people understand why I have such a reaction.
Come on, man.
Like, if you are
Florida's
faking, you're an
where
idiot.
I
If you
grew
think
up.
this makes you look good and, like, relatable.
No, it doesn't. And wait till you hear the origin.
We didn't get a
Why?
lot of sleep. So.
No, it's okay.
Oh, yeah,
My
that's
grandmother's
true.
here, my father, my mother, my aunts and uncles, cousins.
Okay.
And it's where I would have spent all of my childhood, but we left because of my father. He got in some trouble with business. This is like, we laugh about it now, but he was a drug dealer. But he was a drug dealer, went to jail. It's kind of a ha-ha thing that we say now, but the reason it's so emotional for me is because I feel like I was robbed at the full
Yeah, we laugh about it now, but he was
Miami
a drug
experience.
It's a war
So
on
when I come
drugs.
back,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
always like,
Think of what could
I
have
really
been.
love it here, yeah.
But it changed the trajectory of your life. You may not be back here today had you stayed here in the first place. You
people
never
are gonna think this
know.
is so crazy. But
He worked for Hugo Chavez. Yeah, he was a drug dealer.
El Chapo, hey, you better never cry about this, boy. When he said it when he was a young kid, El Chapo said to him, like, hey, your dad's doing some good work for me, but don't you cry about this on air.
What putz, where they find this guy from?
Think of what could
I
have
really
been.
love it here, yeah.
But it changed the trajectory of your life. You may not be back here today had you stayed here in the first place. You
people
never
are gonna think
know.
this is so crazy, but like
Personal
this
space,
should
please.
have been my home for the whole stretch, right? So to have it and then to lose it, it just kind of rocks me. So I didn't expect to feel that, but whenever
we laugh about it now, but my father used to chop people up in the garage when they didn't make their payments on time. You know, it's something that we kind of look back on and smile, but it kind of put a damper on my childhood, so it makes me a little emotional. You know?
Yeah, my dad would always say, hey, be careful of the product in the garage. I'd be like, what product? That's my business. What's your business, Dad? I just move product. I just do that move. Doing that move.
What a character.
Flow.
What a character. Like, I mean, okay, so you're right. Like, yeah, the tears don't look too convincing, but
no.
but if you are faking, it just shows what an idiot you are, because if you want to appear relatable, you would fake brief emotion. Like if you want to get sympathy from people, you do the thing where you're like, okay, I'm sorry, go. And then you pull it together. Then you look like someone who, yes, has emotions and you're vulnerable, but you overcome them because you're a professional. No, he keeps it going for like a minute and a half. And then the punchline is, we laugh about it now. We had to leave here because my dad was a drug
and people were saying, where's the money? Where's the money?
Yeah, right.
Hey, just because your dad's locked up, hey, he owes me $100K.
Because my dad was a drug dealer. Oh, what a story. Like, they don't vet this before they go on. Like, this is what I mean. It's such amateur hour. Like, it is so insane. Oh, look, I always thought Barry Weiss was like a very overrated talent. I never took her to be like this incompetent, like this bad. Like, this is a train wreck. It's a train wreck right out of the gate. Everybody's talking about it, including some CBS staffers. Tony Domoupil's embarrassing first days at CBS Evening News, savaged by staff. It's state TV. So this is one of several reports on this. So, his underlings are leaking all over the place. Network staffers and insiders are so far unimpressed with Tony Domoupil's embarrassing debut as the new CBS Evening News anchor, raging about the program's MAGA pivot while fuming that Domoupil is practicing journalism malpractice and pro-Trump propaganda. It's state TV, one network staffer declared. At the same time, multiple sources have told The Independent that during a commercial break of his Saturday evening conversation with Domoupil, Pentagon Chief Pete Hegseth said he was only sitting down for his first mainstream press interview because Editor-in-Chief Barry Weiss approached him and he liked how the network was treating the administration.
There's reasons for that, because the network lost a big lawsuit against the Trump administration, and now the network's on its knees, all fours, barking, and this is a prime example of just how.
Well, it's because of David Ellison.
Yeah,
I mean, that happened before the Ellison takeover, and now, forget it, man, new management. For the record, Tammy, I think this is my first mainstream press interview yet, Hegseth declared, according to 4 sources with knowledge of the matter. We did it at Barry's request and because CBS News did something right on this. While it wasn't immediately clear what Hegseth was referring to when he said CBS did something right, his remarks came days after Weiss controversially spiked a 60 Minutes story on the notoriously violent Seacott prison because it didn't sufficiently represent the Trump administration's side of the issue. One particular point of embarrassment, CBS News sources noted, was Domoupil jumping into the social media comments section and boasting that he would be more accountable and more transparent than the legendary anchor Walter Cronkite, who once manned the network's weekend news program. I mean, this is also hilarious, but also so sad and pathetic, one network staffer told The Independent.
I don't recall ever Walter Cronkite doing, "This is Walter Cronkite, and my father was part of the dope game." Like he would never say that.
This is Walter Cronkite. I have to go visit my father. He's on the run from Johnny Law.
And that's how the cookie crumbles.
Right. Exactly. All the while, speaking of sad and pathetic, CBS posted a short-form social media clips showing Domoupil approaching random travelers at a train station and asking them to pronounce his last name, prompting network staffers to question the marketing and promotional strategy around the reboot. Quite the humiliating ritual, one employee told The Independent. This is just embarrassing. Yeah, it was pretty embarrassing. So this is posted to Instagram. Here he is.
No, they did this? Really?
Yeah, they filmed him at Grand Central Station in New York City, asking passersby if they knew how to pronounce his name, many of whom had no idea who he was. And, of course, New Yorkers are the kind of people who will just blow you off if they're not interested in you.
Perfect.
And they even published some of that in this videos. Let's take a look.
He's got no idea.
Domoupil. He keeps walking.
How do you say this name?
I have no idea.
He's got no idea.
Domoupil.
Domoupil. Not bad. You got the syllables right.
Domoupil.
Domoupil, close. I'm Tony Domoupil. I work for CBS.
Are you running for office?
No. I'm going to anchor the CBS Evening News. You know, the one with Walter Cronkite. I'm the new guy. I start January 5th. Good luck with that train. I wish I could help you. It's not my line.
Says, yeah, right. She's like, she can't believe it because, like, what's this crazy person with a word on a piece of paper asking me to pronounce his name? If that guy then told you he was the new anchor at CBS News, you'd react exactly the way this woman does. Like,
yeah, like what?
Really?
You're gonna give me the news? Oh,
you're the head anchor at CBS News. You seem like an awkward lunatic who's harassing people at a train station.
Hold on,
you know the one with Walter Cronkite? I'm the new guy.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Homework assignment for everyone in the live stream chat. If you are a New Yorker, you watch Due Dissidents or Hardlands Media, and if you see this dude acting like this again, be like, nah, I'm not gonna pay attention. I watch Hardlands Media or Due Dissidents, man. That's where I get my
exactly.
news. Somebody do that. Some mad dog genius do that. That's your homework assignment.
I don't watch TV. I watch podcasts.
No, I'm going to anchor the CBS Evening News. You know the one with Walter Cronkite?
Okay.
I'm the new guy. I start January 5th.
She clearly doesn't know whether to believe him or not. Like, if let's say this is the head anchor of CBS News, if you're the new head anchor of CBS News, what are you doing this awkward bit in the middle of a train station?
Yeah, you should. Good luck with that news.
Yeah, maybe you start doing news.
Train. I wish I could help you. It's not my line.
I think it's that way.
Good luck. Do you know this person? No. It's a hard name.
Domoupil.
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 Not bad. Domoupil. Domoupil, not bad. Yeah. You play baseball?
Yeah.
I played in college. It's a great sport. How do you say this name?
You're right.
No.
Do you know how to say this name?
I do not.
You do not. 3, 2, 1.
Domoupil.
How would you say this name?
Yuki.
I've lost my spot.
All right, now you want to call this New York snobbery or New York chauvinism?
No.
Perhaps I'm guilty as charged, but I'm telling you right now, the people who are stopping and humoring him are either foreigners or out-of-towners. The New Yorkers, because, Grand Central is a big tourist destination because it's a landmark building. So, people visiting from overseas are going to want to come. And obviously, it's a commuter train station, so you get a lot of people in from the suburbs. I guarantee you, the people who are entertaining this guy are not people who live in New York City. Like, I'm sorry, I can tell just from looking at this guy, no disrespect to him, he does not live in New York City. Based on the wardrobe alone, I can tell you that.
The ones walking away are New Yorkers, though.
Yes, they are. The New Yorkers are the ones who are like, yeah, no, I don't know how to say it. They keep going.
I've lost my spot, but you can go if you're in a hurry.
You can go if you're in a hurry.
Domoupil. A lot of
Follow that
Domoupils.
man while he's working.
A lot of Domoupils.
Domoupil.
Are you Czech? How did you get that? Slovak. Yes.
See, the out-of-town, the foreigners.
You were the only person so far to say it. Spread the word. Hey, how would you say this name?
I wouldn't.
You wouldn't?
There we go.
See you at 6:30 Monday, CBS Evening News.
I wouldn't.
They don't care. No one cares. You almost tripped, you goof troop.
Yeah, he almost falls on his face.
Man, I would have been better if he did.
I mean, what a clown. What an absolute clown. And yeah, the staffers are talking to everybody, not just the Independent, but here's Puck News, the Tony Accords. That article's paywalled, so I didn't read it. Same thing here. This is also paywalled from Oliver Darcy's Substack type publication, Status, the Domoupil, the Copa. I still don't know how to say his name. We just watched a 2-minute video on how to say his name. I forgot already. What a clown. What an absolute clown. It's really surprising to me how quickly Barry Weiss has turned CBS News into a joke.
Yeah,
I always knew she was overrated, but I didn't know she was like this incompetent. Like, she's actually incompetent. She's actually bad.
It's clownish
at the job.
Yeah. How CBS ever recovers from this is going to be a miracle, which I don't think they can. So I'll say this on air. CNN, I was wrong. You're not going to be the first ones to go belly up. It's going to be CBS. I'm sorry, CNN. I was wrong. I was hoping that CNN would be the first one to go. It's CBS. CBS is going there. CBS said, "Hey, hold my beer while I have our quote unquote Walter Cronkite for the Gen Z and Gen Alpha. He's the one that's going to be so relatable and transparent. Oh, he's very transparent. He's an absolute clown and jackass and a full-on Trump administration wing-bone sucker, man, right there. Especially what he did for Rubio. I mean, my goodness." He couldn't get his name out of his mouth. That's how bad it was. And then he spills the beans about his father being in the import-export business. That being with illicit material.
He's an importer-exporter.
Yeah, the white booger sugar.
Right.
The blue glass that you saw from Breaking Bad.
Yeah, what a clown! What a clown! All right, we will move right on along here. What do I have here? Okay, I got to put some more stuff in, but that's okay. Let's go to some super chats. First, Heavy Snack says, Fuentes posted, your oil, our choice forever. Figures. He's acting like we're about to nationalize Venezuela's oil for the U.S. Who is our? Are we Citgo, Chevron, ExxonMobil, Paul Singer? Yeah, that's what they mean when they say our, of course. Tate is 14-year-old me, 6 beers deep. Thank you, Walby. Appreciate that. Keep it up. The 2Ks bringing the truth. Take care. Thank you, Sean Hurl. Appreciate that. Tony crying due to lingering circumcision pain. Yes. Oh. Thank you, Kenman. Did you hear that, kid? He got circumcised as an adult. Because
why would you do that to yourself?
Well, because his wife is an Israeli, and so he wanted to make her happy. So he got an adult circumcision. And not only did he get an adult circumcision, but apparently she has since left him and taken the kids
That's
to Israel.
Funny. Really? That happened? So he did that for her, and she still divorced him?
She still left him.
I didn't notice.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah. It's true.
Sweetie, don't leave. I'll do whatever you want. What will you do? I'll cut my dick. Okay. I'm still taking a kid, jackass.
Oh, boy. What
Love
a sad
hurts.
sack. Yeah, love hurts. Yeah, love hurts. Oh, George, thanks for the $50. Oh, George, appreciate that. Says, hey, guys, welcome back, kid. Admire your passion as always. Putin apparently just offered and encouraged all Israeli Russians to return to Russia immediately. Definitely concerned. Peace. Thank you, oh, George. Wow, that is news. Ham Hog says, Tate sounded like he was playing G.I. Joe shooting his sister's stuffed animals. Yes, exactly. RB Ham says, Kit, you're doing a great job as a co-host. I sure am jealous. Watching from Regina, Saskatchewan, waiting for a load out of this hellhole. Thank you both for making my downtime bearable. Thank you, RB. Appreciate that. Stay safe out on the road. Eric Rousseau says he went to the William Shatner School of Crying.
Hey, don't disrespect to the Will Shatner, okay?
That's very disrespectful. You know, I think what we've seen over the past week is that there was a preset notion that for the 250th anniversary of our country, it's best to celebrate by turning it into an outright empire. Yep, exactly. 100%. 100%. RB says, Keaton, try getting Professor Zhang on the show. He's predicted World War III is imminent and that the next power block will be in the Middle East via Pax Judaica. Fascinating theory. Yeah, sounds interesting to me. Sounds like there's a there. Eric Rousseau says, I recognize him. He was that kid in the movie Band of the Hand. Guess which one? Ha, good one. Vienticus Prime says, by the way, if it comes, I refuse to call it World War III. Instead, I'll be calling it World War Epstein. Yes, absolutely. World War Epstein. David Laz says, Domoupil's display is so pathetic, even the most hardcore Zios are like, okay, go, you already got the job. We already paid you $7,000 about a dozen times. Thank you, David Laz. Appreciate that. Okay, all right, what do we got over here? We got, okay. Oh, my God, Tony, cry for fentanyl, Domoupil. Laugh my ass off. Thank you.
Literally live on air, you're going to drop the beans that your dad was part of the drug game. Like,
yeah,
dude.
Right.
Dude.
What a guy. All right, we will move right on along here. Okay, so new year, which means there's been, a sort of shuffling of the deck in Washington, D.C. Of course, Marjorie Taylor Greene, no longer a congresswoman. She is now entered, at least for the moment, a phase of retirement. But you know who's back? Dan Bongino is back. And by back, we mean back as a podcaster. He is now free to stream on Rumble again, and he is feeling invigorated. Good to see you all. I missed you. Well, you weren't gone. You were just in power. You were just in a position to actually do some of the things that you were complaining was never done regarding Jeffrey Epstein and all that stuff for years from the comfort of a podcast studio. But he feels back. He feels like he's free to be himself again. Thanks for everything while we worked on cleaning up. Yeah, working in the administration was the experience of a lifetime. I'll have some announcements coming up, but I'm taking a couple days to spend with the family. Couple of things. Thank you for your interest in the show and its return date. We will have something for you soon. Second, the Trump team is not kidding around. It's an otherworldly experience from the other side. He's determined and focused, and having been around quite a few presidents, this one broke the mold. 3, if we blocked you, it's because we care so little about your bullshit that we deem it not worthy of even seeing. If you're bitching and whining about it, that means you can't exist without seeing and commenting on ours. You'll need to get over that. We do it because there's nothing black pillars and anti-Trumpers want more than to create division and drama. We're about results, and we'll talk about some of it soon. Love you all, and thanks again. Flaming Elmo emoji, Dan Bongino. Wow. Nice,
Yeah,
pleasant.
that's how you're gonna win your counting followers back, dude. Like the dude went on to say that Epstein self-deleted himself, and yet there's 70% of those files were redacted, and they were redacted properly because some mad dog geniuses were able to find a way to remove those redactions. This man went on record saying that there was nothing suspicious, yet he made a whole career and it had all the algorithm and rhyme favoring him in regards to covering the Epstein story, and he was getting boosted on social media. He was getting all the clicks and views, and now he's coming back home because what? Like, dude, you're part of the administration. You're part of the system now. You just can't go ahead and be like, hey, guys, I'm this truth teller. No, you're not.
Yeah.
You got ties now to the government.
Of
You're
course.
compromised, baby.
It's a fucking joke. It's a joke. Patriotic Blonde says, dude, just delete your account and go off the fucking grid. At this point, you have literally zero integrity left. Bryce Lipscomb says, you barely made it a year, and you did a bang-up job not arresting anyone. Danny boy. Owen Schroyer, I like this one. Don't worry, guys. Once I abandoned my post at one of the most powerful institutions in America that gave me the power and opportunity to do the things I talked about for years, I'll really get after them on my podcast. Yeah, exactly.
Podcast.
Exactly. But, hey, you always have some simps, right? You always have some true believers. Missed the show, Dan. Can't wait to have it back on. Not all negative. But he comes back. He says, let me add this. From the jump, so there's no confusion. I started in this movement as a candidate during the Tea Party movement, and I began my political commentary career shortly thereafter. I helped build this movement, and I sure as hell am not going to let it get hijacked by a group of black pillars, life losers, grifters, and bums. Wow, he has a lot of pent-up anger.
That's him, right? Because he's describing himself. It's the pot calling the kettle black.
Yeah, little projection there. Yeah. We are a movement guided by truth. The essence of movement guided by truth. Yeah. We're a movement guided by truth. That is the whopper of the year so far. The essence of conservative ideology is the preservation of eternal truths. We are not the latest thing group. We are not political cannibals. I've watched quietly from the inside while doing the job I was hired to do. But I'm back now, and it's time to restore balance to the force that was once. Wow. As we get ready to make some announcements about the future of the show, I also want to warn the haters and the zeros. We've been at this a long time. We live for this stuff. This isn't our first, second, or 10th rodeo. We've seen a lot of dipshits come and go. We revel in making you angry enough to show your asses. It's glorious. Wow, this guy had a lot of pent-up anger this past year.
What are you talking about?
As soon as he comes back. We've got midterms coming up, and there's no time for bullshit. This administration is cooking and real change simmers. Real change simmers. That's the lib argument, right? Slow incrementalism, right? Yeah, you can only catch so many child traffickers at a time, like one every 30 years. That's the pace. Right?
And even then say that there was nothing suspicious.
Right. Yeah, exactly. If you're spending your entire day bitching and whining with 3/4 of the term left still to go, then please find the exits. There's no time for it. It's not infighting when you excise a cancer killing the host. It's outfighting because you're not part of any movement I'm familiar with. Looking forward to big things ahead. Can't wait to tell you about it. So Matt Gaetz threw a little shade at him. Matt Gaetz asked Grok, when did Dan Bongino run for office and how did he perform as a candidate? And Bongino takes the bait. He says, maybe if I spent more time at shady parties with moneyed insiders, I would have won. I heard you know a bit about that. You've always been a dick, by the way. grifting off your daddy like a suckling little dog.
Damn! Holy shit, Danny boy, calm down.
This guy's angry. He's a big tough guy now that he's not in power anymore. Notice, big tough guy now talks a real big game from the podcast studio.
He's the dog behind the gate that barks and barks, and as soon as the gate is down, oh, it's a little quiet boy.
Exactly. Well, when I first met you in the Panhandle, I knew you were a piece of shit. It's written all over that phony face of yours. No, you know what's a phony face, Dan? Your face is a phony face. I should have actually enlarged his profile picture, but you see there, his profile photo is him looking like a real down-to-business badass. This is your actual face when you're actually in power, when you're actually in a position to do the stuff that you've bloviated about for years and years to great personal enrichment. Yeah, this is the face. This guy looks like he's literally shitting his pants on the air when asked about the Epstein files. Let's take a look.
Maria,
there we go.
Cash is not kidding. We've been personally briefed extensively on every single detail, nugget, tendril of this case.
Look at the nervous guy. Look at the shine on his face. Look at the sweat. I mean, the guy looks like he's about
hunched.
to shit his pants.
He's hunched and he's not even making direct eye contact.
No, he's
not.
looking all
Body
over
language
the room.
101. Yeah. Even Cash.
Yeah, well, Cash, yeah.
I mean,
Cash always never makes eye contact.
That was wrong about that. Okay, yeah, that's me.
Cash has a condition. Cash has a condition. Okay, he's an ableist. He can't make eye contact. Bongino doesn't have an excuse.
Cash is not kidding. We've been personally briefed extensively on every single detail, nugget, tendril of this case. One is actively in court right now, so out of respect for the case, it's probably more appropriate that I stay quiet on that. However, I'm not going to tell people what they want to hear. I'm going to tell you the truth, and whether you like it or not is up to you. If there was a big explosive there, right? Given my history as a Secret Service agent and my personal friendship as a director does with the president, give me one logical, sensible reason we would not have. If you can think of one, there isn't. There in some of these cases, the there you're looking for is not there. And I know people, I get it. I understand. It's not there.
It's not there. Oh, I think in that particular question, he was talking about the Butler shooting, but they discussed Epstein in the same interview. And that was about the tone and tenor of his Epstein response too, which has gone super viral in the past. No, that's who Dan Bongino is when he has power. Right? Yeah. When he is in a position to challenge the deep state, he's a little puppy dog. He's a scared little kitten. Now that he's back in the podcast room, now he's slinging shit left and right. Now he's a big fucking tough guy.
Well, see, the thing is, here's what's going to be different about, already, I could be wrong about this, but already he's talking about the election, the midterm. He's hoping to ride on a Republican wave. But remember, his show was predominantly about exposing the Epstein files. That's why people tuned in. That's where he cultivated his audience.
Of course.
And if you are on the right, listen, it's okay. I learned the lesson about Bernie Sanders being a cuck and a nutless wonder. It's okay, folks. Listen, wake up to reality. A lot of these people who made a grift off of the Epstein story, yeah, it's a true story, but a lot of them, they didn't care about the victims. They cared about power and getting influence and controlling the algorithm and building a podcast. And as soon as he got into office, what? He filed a memo of trying to bury the Epstein story all throughout last year. And now we got some major distractions to the Epstein story, but eventually these distractions will die out. Venezuela, the Somali fraud thing, and even this whole crisis with ICE. It's going to again. The Epstein story is the hangman. You remember that scene from The Dark Knight where like the fake Batman is in front of the mayor's office? Like that's not going away.
Yeah.
The Epstein story last year, they tried to kill it so many times that it kept on rising up from the grave.
Yeah. Hits you right in the face.
Yeah. Hits you right in the face. Boom.
So here he is actually talking about the midterms, as Kit was just saying. So this is a recent appearance where he's lashing out at the haters and the doubters, saying that they're going to cost his team the midterms.
Black pillars, where everything sucks all the time, is they're like, well, we're demanding accountability, but you're not great. So am I. That's not. You're endlessly complaining about things you don't know anything about. Like that's all you do. Like he'll shut down the border, 10 people across the month. Why wasn't it 0? Okay. Well, can you just acknowledge going from 1 million to 10 is a big deal?
No one's complained that Trump hasn't closed the border or secured the border. That's the one thing that everybody kind of acknowledges he has done.
Yeah.
So that's a complete straw man. But go on.
That way, and there's a cost to that. And the cost you see is in, polling numbers around the midterms. You can't let this negative vibe constantly set in. That doesn't mean healthy debates about policy are not welcome.
Sure it does. That's exactly what you're saying. You're saying, no, I'm not saying you can't have a healthy debate about policy. Of course that's what you're saying. Why? Because it's going to hurt us in the midterms.
I'm not a big tariff guy. I've said that 1,000 times. Debating policies are fine. I think a lot of the so-called damage from the tariffs was dramatically over-exaggerated. Even people who don't like them haven't.
Oh, really? What? I want you to tell that to people in Iowa now who can't sell their crops at a profit. I want you to tell that to the people in Lexington, Nebraska, who just had their meatpacking plant close and devastate the entire town. No, go tell them that, hey, the damage from the tariffs has been exaggerated.
Yeah, and also, by the way, one other thing here too. If you've been watching his podcast, your boy is back, but he claims to have that bite, but he's all bark. Okay, he got neutered, and maybe he got a second adult circumcision. I don't know. I don't know how that can happen twice, but maybe they cloned it on there, did like a Palantir 3D art thing on there, and then cut him again. I don't know.
A 3D printed foreskin.
Yep, and then they cut it off from again.
Don't like them having to acknowledge that now. The economy's motoring, 4% growth. But the black pill complaining and whining all the time about the administration, it's just like, man, what team are you on? Holy Moses, man. So you don't have to watch.
What team are you on? What team are you on?
Be on your own team.
You're supposed to be on your own team. Exactly. Everybody's supposed to be on their own team. You're not supposed to be a team player. You're not supposed to fall in line behind a narrative. That was really the thrust of what your show was about, right? Asking questions about the deep state, right? And now it's, hey, yeah. I mean, you can ask questions, but not too much because otherwise the other team is going to win. It's not the people's job to deliver the Republican Party a good midterm. It's amazing because, like Kit, you and I have been in this space for a decent amount of time now. And when Biden was president and we would criticize Biden all the time, what did people tell us all the time? Is that we're working for the other team. That we're right-wingers or we love Trump because we criticize Biden, right? Now you're seeing that exact same thing happening on the right, where the dissident right-wingers like Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, they are being called basically crypto-leftists for criticizing the Republican Party. And their defense is, no, we're not on the left. We just dissent from what is passing for mainstream conservative orthodoxy nowadays. But they're using the exact same smears against the dissident right-wing commentariat that they used against, channels like ours, right? And guys like Jimmy over Forced to Vote, the same thing. They make it about personality and they try and smear you as disloyal to your team. And there's Dan Bongino doing that before he takes his seat back in the podcast studio once again.
Well, once you're part of the administration, once you're part of a government or any kind of institution, like how can anyone really look at you as being that outsider? I mean, because you should challenge now power. I mean, that's the whole point of this independent media sphere. That's the whole point of being not connected to the establishment. That is, you are supposed to be that dissenting critical voice towards what we normally see from corporate media. And here he is back in the podcast space, and anyone that attached their name to Trump, like, you got a lot to answer for. A lot. I mean, even Tucker's like, hey, sorry, World War III is going to happen. All right? Sorry about that. He's like, sorry. All right, apology accepted. The nukes are going to vaporize us all real quick. So you know what? I'll take that apology. It's fine. At least he said he's sorry. Like, sorry.
Hey, sorry about that. Sorry about that. Yeah, no, look, we didn't support Kamala because she was promising to continue a genocide. So I don't mean to imply that you should have voted for the Democrat. What I'm simply saying, and I think you're saying the same thing, correct me if I'm wrong, is that you have to be an honest observer and an objective commentator, and you have to bring your principles to every issue, regardless of whose team it helps or whose team it hurts. Like, I was not interested in propping up the Democratic Party under Joe Biden, and I'm not interested in propping up the Republican Party now. And I think if you can't do your job that way, then you really shouldn't be in the news and commentary space, because at that point, you're really not a commentator. You are an influencer. This is why we call these people influencers, right? MAGA influencer is a thing because they are influencers in the truest sense of the word, just like Harry Sisson was a Biden influencer. He wasn't a commentator. He's an influencer. He's got a racket. His job is to, get votes for the Democrats. That's his version of moving product. It's the same thing in this right-wing ecosystem. And the people who have a little more credibility than that and a little more depth of perspective than that are, of course, going to be smeared as closet leftists, just like the left-wingers who had that kind of integrity were smeared as closet right-wingers. Same thing. Same thing.
I mean, I'll never forget it. But here's the thing. Like, the hilarious thing about the whole time when Biden was president was I had one Trump supporter say, hey, how come all these communists hate you? They're saying that you're pro-Trump, but you're not pro-Trump. I'm like, hey, buddy, welcome to the club. Don't worry. Don't worry. Like, hey, thanks for all the stuff. Like, hey, how you're a communist? How come these communists hate you? Like, no, duh. And I have to say again to anyone that was, right wing and is upset at just administration, welcome to the real truth, and that is it's one big club. You ain't in it. Trump used to be a Democrat. He was best friends with Bill Clinton. He went to bat for Bill Clinton for the Epstein files.
That's
right.
Right.
After everything that he said about Bill Clinton, he got the memo. It's a club. They're friends. They're friends. Wake up to reality. They're your friends, and midterms ain't going to save us.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, he defended him against Thomas Massey. He defended Bill Clinton against Thomas Massey
exactly.
Very recently. All right, folks, take a quick game break here. If you like what we're doing and you want to help us do it, the best way to do that is to become a member at dudissidents.com/Patreon, Substack, or Locals. Links are in the or on top of the screen there, atop the scroll. Right there, you get bonus content. You get call-in access to our weekly Q&As. You also get your name up in lights here on the patron scroll. And you'll have an end credit in our upcoming documentary on the Uhuru movement. That will be great as well.
There you go.
Patrons always get a credit in our film projects. So you can go to dudissidents.com/Patreon/Substack or /Locals to sign up. We'll let that scroll run while we read some more chats. Vienticus says, watching what we are all watching now, I wonder if the falls of all previous empires was just as absolutely, utterly, and ridiculously lame and gay as this one. Well, the Roman was certainly as gay as this one.
Well, wait. Constantinople, at least it went out with a bang.
Yeah, exactly. Raven Laz, RFK Jr. says, I bought acid and horse tranquilizers from Dakota's father in the 80s. The horse tranquilizers were the reason I didn't get AIDS while slinging so much dick back then. Good, I like that. Good one, Raven Laz. Appreciate that. Funniest audience on YouTube and Rumble. Of course, Raven is a Rumbler. Angelo says, I'm a New Yorker, and I pronounce that name as douchebag. Yeah, that's what somebody should have said. Yeah, I'm a New Yorker. How do you say that name? Douchebag. Barry Weiss can sure pick them, huh? Takes one to know one, I guess. Absolutely. Yeah. Stoop Sign says, what a scumbag. If you smoked Colombian marijuana in the 70s or 80s, I owe you a thank you card, said Domoupil. Why do you say that? Because you brought my father's product.
There you go.
Part 2, bought my baseball gloves by extension, and you put me through private school. And you paid for the boat that we crisscrossed the oceans in and the Caribbean. Goo81 says, Barry Weiss was always incompetent since Rogan asked her, what's a toady? Then Rogan had to show a journalist how to look it up on the internet.
That was great.
Right.
That was great. Good times.
Good times. More innocent times. Simpler times. Hey, Mint72, thanks for the $50. It's a very kind donation. Hi, guys. I met Russell last year outside the Assange trial in London. Mofo doesn't like people, does he? Had to tell him he was one of my 2 favorite Jews to calm him down, poor bastard. Love you guys. Clint, so he doesn't like you? What do you mean he doesn't like people, does he? He likes people all right. Thank you for that. Appreciate that, Clint. Long Meadow says Bongino is still working for Israel interest. He was just reassigned to social media to continue the MKUltra type of propaganda to the ill-informed Trump loyalists. Good point. Nina Can says Cash Bond looked like he just got let out of electric shock dance room from movie Cat's Eye. Thank you for that. Goose says also Domoupil paid off his dad's drug dealing losses. They kidnapped him and circumcised his dignity. Thank you.
Double circumcision.
Double circumcision, that's right. All right, folks, we will keep on moving. We got 2 more segments on the day before we close the lights. I will be hosting the Jimmy Dore Show, by the way, tomorrow, 4 p.m.
Fantastic.
Eastern, so make sure you tune in over there. All right, so we will move right on along here. So here's an interesting development in the case against Nicolas Maduro. Justice Department drops claim that Venezuela's Cartel de los Soles is an actual group. So they're like the Antifa of the Southern Hemisphere. They're terrorists, but they don't actually exist, right? It's just a saying. It's a phrase. Yep. Same exact thing. The Justice Department has backed off a dubious claim about President Nicolas Maduro that the Trump administration promoted last year in laying the groundwork to remove him from power in Venezuela, accusing him of leading a drug cartel called Cartel de los Soles. That claim traces back to a 2020 grand jury indictment of Mr. Maduro drafted by the Justice Department. In July 2025, copying language from it, the Treasury Department designated Cartel de los Soles as a terrorist organization. In November, Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State and President Trump's national security advisor, ordered the State Department to do the same. But experts in Latin American crime and narcotics issues have said it's actually a slang term invented by the Venezuelan media in the 1990s for officials who are corrupted by drug money. And on Saturday, after the administration captured Mr. Maduro, the Justice Department released a rewritten indictment that appeared to tacitly concede the point. Prosecutors still accuse Mr. Maduro of participating in a drug trafficking conspiracy, but they abandoned the claim that Cartel de los Soles was an actual organization. Instead, the revised indictment states that it refers to a patronage system and a, quote, culture of corruption fueled by drug money. Where the old indictment refers 32 times to Cartel de los Soles and describes Mr. Maduro as its leader, the new one mentions it twice and says that he, like his predecessor, President Hugo Chavez, participated in, perpetuated, and protected this patronage system. So now it's a system. It's a culture. It's not an actual organization. Seems like a tougher case to prove. But then again, we're the empire, so I guess we don't really care. The retreat calls into greater question the legitimacy of the Trump administration's designation of Cartel de los Soles as a foreign terrorist organization last year. Spokespeople at the White House and the Justice, State, and Treasury Departments did not respond to requests for comment. Elizabeth Dickinson, the deputy director for Latin America at the International Crisis Group, said the new indictment's portrayal of Cartel de los Soles was exactly accurate to reality, unlike the 2020 iteration. Still, Mr. Rubio again referred to Cartel de los Soles as an actual cartel in an interview on NBC's Meet the Press on Sunday, a day after the revised indictment was unsealed. So, remember when Hillary Clinton said, what was it? You have a public position and a private position, right? Their public position is still that this is a real organization, while in legal documents, they're forced to essentially concede that it isn't, that it's just a rhetorical construct. Here's Marco Rubio, despite what we just read, repeating the old Cartel de los Soles line on Meet the Press this Sunday.
American laws with regards to oil sanctions. We have sanctioned entities. We go to court. We get a warrant. We seize those boats with oil, and that will continue. We will continue to reserve the right to take strikes against drug boats that are bringing drugs towards the United States that are being operated by transnational criminal organizations, including the Cartel de los Soles. Of course, the leader of that cartel is now in U.S. custody and facing U.S. justice.
You gotta have the evidence of
Southern
proof.
District of New York, and that's Nicolas Maduro.
I'm sorry here, but you got to have the evidence of proof. You got to show that he really is part of this cartel. I mean, that's what discovery and depositions are going to be about. I mean, the Trump administration, I'll say this. I wasn't angry and furious when the president of Venezuela was kidnapped. I was shocked that he was brought here alive to face now our U.S. court system. And you know what? If this case does continue on, I'm pretty sure Maduro's got a lot to say for his deposition. I'm pretty sure there's a lot for discovery that the United States government doesn't want to reveal because no one wants to talk about the CIA and its relationship with El Chapo. Venezuela is not the central hub of all drugs coming to the USA. I mean, after all, I'm waiting for the day when Big Pharma is going to be held accountable for getting all Americans addicted to opioids and painkillers. I mean, that's something big. I don't see this administration doing anything about that. This whole talk about him being part of this big cartel kingpin, well, you got to show proof. You got to show evidence. And that's what the legal process is about. And he hired Julian Assange's lawyer. So this is going to be great. And he better stay alive.
Well, yeah, I mean, the big question is, do you get any kind of a fair trial? But obviously, Trende Aragua, which is the gang that actually does exist, that they were trying to tie him to for the longest time. In fact, this administration's own DNI put out a memo spring of last year saying that there was no evidence tying Maduro to that gang. Now, that's a gang that actually does exist. There is a concrete infrastructure there. And Tulsi's own DNI office said that there were no ties to the Maduro government as it pertains to Trende Aragua. Now, there were some high-profile firings from the office of the DNI. I forget what their division was exactly, but Tulsi had jurisdiction over them. She is essentially presiding over the deep state now.
Where is Tulsi again? Doing yoga?
She's doing yoga. Yeah, she's doing yoga. She's not available for comment on this. That's why I'm going off memory, because she's off doing yoga. You know, she's off the grid now. She unplugged. You know, she's taking self-care time now.
Okay, great.
But yeah, no, they established no link between the actual organization that does exist. And so what's the backup? Well, we make up an organization that doesn't exist, and we say he's the head of that. Furthermore, Jessica Burbank tweets out, Maduro's indictment alleges he's been trafficking drugs since 1999, which is weird because in 1990, the CIA brought 3,000 pounds of coke into Caracas, Venezuela. Those Venezuelan CIA collaborators have been called the Cartel of the Suns for years. The gang Trump says Maduro leads. Talk about laziness. You couldn't even come up with a new name for the fake cartel that he's the head of. You had to recycle one from the old CIA days. Wow.
And I also want to point out, yes, I see the name Cabello in there. No relation. No relation to the guy in there.
No relation, no, of course.
No relation.
To make that clear. Max Blumenthal tweets out, this is why the DOJ had to downplay its phony Cartel of the Suns allegations against Maduro in its new indictment. Not only does the Cartel of the Suns not exist as a real criminal syndicate, it was literally founded by the CIA to traffic cocaine into American cities. Now, 60 Minutes is notorious for claiming copyright content and blocking videos, so even the older 60 Minutes reports would be risky to play. But luckily, the New York Times actually did a write-up on the same topic back in 1993. Anti-drug unit of CIA sent ton of cocaine to U.S. in 1990. So this is back from a 1993 New York Times write-up to give this a little context. A CIA anti-drug program in Venezuela shipped a ton of nearly pure cocaine to the United States in 1990, government officials said today. No criminal charges have been brought in the matter, which the officials said appeared to have been a serious accident. Oh, yeah, serious accident rather than an intentional conspiracy. That sounds like the kind of thing you say after you get caught. But officials say the cocaine wound up being sold on the streets in the United States. Oops. Sorry. That's the Tucker Carlson explanation for that.
Sorry.
One CIA officer has resigned. A second has been disciplined, and a federal grand jury in Miami is investigating. The agency, made aware of a 60 Minutes investigation of the matter scheduled for broadcast on Sunday, issued a statement calling the affair a most regrettable incident involving instances of poor judgment and management on the parts of several CIA officers. Later on in the write-up, DEA officers and other government officials gave this account of the cocaine shipments and subsequent investigations into their origins. The CIA Venezuelan force accumulated more than 3,000 pounds of cocaine by Colombian traffickers and stored the cocaine in a truck at the intelligence agency's counter-narcotics center in Caracas. Most of the cocaine was flown to the United States in a series of shipments during 1990. In late 1990, U.S. Customs Service officials seized a shipment of nearly 1,000 pounds at Miami's International Airport and discovered that it had been shipped by members of the Venezuelan National Guard. Investigators from the drug agency interviewed a Venezuelan undercover agent working with the CIA's counter-narcotics center who told them that the shipments had been approved by the United States government. Wow. Furthermore, Max Blumenthal again wrote this article to Gray's On. I encourage you to check out the entire thing. Behind the DOJ's politicized indictment of Maduro, a CIA-created network and a coerced star witness. So it gets worse for the government's case. The head of military intelligence under the government of Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez from 2004 to 2011, General Hugo Carvajal, is cited several times in the January 3rd DOJ indictment, this most recent one, of course, as a witness to alleged criminal acts by Maduro and his inner circle. Carvajal was first arrested in 2014 in Aruba on drug running charges, but was returned to Venezuela to the chagrin of U.S. authorities. In 2017, as he faced a pair of indictments in the U.S., the general suddenly turned on Maduro, who he denounced as a dictator. Carvajal went on to openly endorse the regime change project of U.S.-controlled interim President Juan Guaido in 2019, fashioning himself as a courageous defector while proffering his support, his supposed knowledge, of the Venezuelan deep state to Washington. That same year, as Carvajal sought asylum in Spain, the U.S. formally demanded that Madrid hand him over. Now facing the prospect of extradition, he delivered a series of tell-all interviews to legacy outlets like the New York Times, doing his best to legitimize virtually every charge the Trump administration sought to weaponize against Maduro. So Marco Rubio, here he was back in 2019, tweeting out, Hugo Carvajal, formerly military intelligence director of Venezuela, is safe and in custody in Spain. He will soon be coming to the U.S. to provide important information about the Maduro regime. Bad day for the Maduro crime family 7 years ago. It was not until 2023 that Carvajal was finally extradited and placed on trial in the Southern District Court of New York. After he pleaded guilty to narco-terrorism this June, the Miami Herald reported that he had struck a plea deal which would grant him a considerable sentence reduction if he provides substantial assistance to U.S. investigations. So there you have it, right? That's as recently as this summer. Carvajal's still secret plea deal gives away the game he'd played since he first emerged as a defector. His allegations against Maduro had been delivered under duress, all designed to satisfy his would-be jailers in the U.S. He has since indulged one of Trump's favorite conspiracy theories by alleging in a June 2025 letter to the U.S. president that Maduro manipulated Venezuela's Smartmatic voting systems to rig the 2020 U.S. presidential election in favor of Biden. I mean, that is music to Trump's ears. That is crack to Donald Trump, the guy's validating those theories. Carvajal's shameless pandering to Trump and secret plea deal should obliterate his credibility as a witness against Maduro. So like just about everything this administration does, it's motivated by malice, but executed with extreme incompetence. You see the case against Maduro falling apart pretty quickly, assuming the impartiality of the court system, which is, of course, where you have to worry. Because to me, it's impossible to believe that he gets off, and it's impossible to believe that he returns to Venezuela. Some people have speculated that that is a possibility.
Yeah, back.
Seems very far-fetched to me. Then again, I never thought I would see Julian Assange outside of a jail cell. Yeah. And that has happened. So, look, the case against him is obviously extraordinarily weak, especially, I mean, one thing we covered in one of the last shows we did was the gun charge, possession of machine guns. The guy's ahead of state. Yeah. The guy's ahead of state. They have an army. Of course, he is in possession, if you want to call it that, of weaponry. So yeah, man, the case against him seems to be coming apart. If you look into it, the problem is, we live in a country that's very easily propagandized and very easily distracted to the point where it's difficult to imagine enough people even doing that much research into this to see the absurdity of this case. But we will have to wait and see.
I think in many ways, this was a failed power move by Trump to show big oil that he could take those oil platforms. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, he said the reason why we're there now is because of oil. It's very transparent. He brought the guy in alive. But the thing is that, okay, you brought in this president here. One of the biggest mistakes that the establishment can always do is have someone to rat out how the establishment is part of the drug game too. Because stopping Maduro is not going to be a big win for the war on drugs. War on drugs isn't going to end. All right. The FBI and DEA and prison industrial complex need the cartels because how else are they going to explain their bloated budgets? They need to exist. The cartels have to exist so the FBI can still get its funding. It's never going to end. It's like a little rivalry that they got going on. Think just because El Chapo is behind bars, it's the end of the cartels? No, they need another boss. They need another person. Maduro's not a big player in the game of war on drugs. There's always going to be somebody else. This was all about oil control, the petrodollar. And by the way, at the end of the day, operating those platforms, some of them have not been maintained properly. And we could see some really epic disasters happen off those coastline areas. So for everyone that's saying that, this is just an easy win for Trump. Yeah, you got the president in, but now he's got to face through due process. Now he's got to face our legal system. He's got Assange's lawyer. There's a lot that can unravel here for Trump, and that can expose decades of U.S. influence or use that U.S. trying to control Venezuela, because that's all what this is. It's about control. The scapegoat is the war on drugs, but in the war on drugs, who profits? It's the U.S. How else are you going to have things going on the way they are? There's never going to be a big win.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, what I think was exposed. I mean, it's weird to say it's exposed because it's been so obvious for so long that the idea that this is about drugs or keeping Americans safe from drugs is just absolutely absurd on its face. Like there's no rationale there whatsoever. All right, folks, we got one more segment on the day. Before that, just want to give a little shout out to one of our sponsors here, The Grifter's Bible. It's a mind-bending novel by El Shaboons. It's now a free weekly series on YouTube with a soundtrack by Monumental Sonic Architecture. Follow the First Electric Church of Jesus Christ as they combine the bleeding edge of black patents in neuroscience with the state-of-the-art in Michigan to beat the Great Recession. They sell visions of God to the huddled masses of Deep Ellum, Texas, and the money pours in until the local competition, the police, and the U.S. Navy decide to put a stop to it. There's ass whoopings, car chases, and a showdown at high noon on Good Friday in Dodge City. It's sci-fi noir. It's a picaresque thriller. It's a Western from 10 minutes in the future. It's The Grifter's Bible, and it's a film series by El Shaboons with a soundtrack by Monumental Sonic Architecture. New episodes are posted every Monday at that YouTube channel, youtube.com/@ElShaboons. Okay, let's take some more Rumble rants and super chats here. Ravid Last said Trump spoke out for Bill regarding the Epstein files. Well, he opened his mouth up for Bill in another way, too. Ha! Ooh. Bill told me I was the best he ever had. Way better than Hillary. Thank you, Ravid Last. The Anticus Prime says, always remember that these people will call you on the other side or a fence sitter, believing the fence is between them and their imagined adversary. The fence is around them. Ah, good philosophy from the Anticus, as usual. Yo, Shush says, I don't want to see anybody killed, but she is an unworthy victim with pronouns, acting as a human shield for Somali fraudsters or financing Muslim terrorists. Did you copy and paste that one again? Because I know that one I didn't copy and paste the second time. But I got you. Find the term influencer interesting because it implies that people don't have independent thought. Yes, well, that's the power of advertising, my friend.
Yes, and by the way, Instagram, everything you see there is fake. Remember that, folks, okay? And if you see a model, that beautiful model in Dubai, there's a stinky reason. There you go.
Yeah.
Throwing it out there.
The Anticus says, just remember the Venn diagram of people who read the paperwork and people who believe in a difference in political parties will always show absolutely zero overlap. Thank you, Vianticus. Xander Varkov over on YouTube says the true divide on the fascist right comes down to preference. The Fuentes Catboy Twinks or the burly MAGA Bears, or the 10-inch strap-on from Shmuley's father-daughter shop worn by Adelson.
Oof.
Thank you, Xander Varkov. Oof. Heavy Snack says, rumor has it HHS refused RFK's order to add felching to the new food pyramid. Yeah, good one. Jolly Man Big Boy, want to know how Maria Corina Machado got her scars? Eric Torres, all the good shit comes from Bolivia.
Wait, I saw this. Hold on, can you pull it up? Because I could do the Cronkite impression.
Oh, okay. Well, it's all the good shit comes from Bolivia. Go ahead.
This is Walter Cronkite. All the good shit comes from Bolivia. All that good stuff.
There you go. Well done. Well done. Okay, Virtuoso. I'm about to lose my shit because workers' comp wants my retired mother to find a job before the checks keep rolling in. This is America where you work till you're dead. I hate this place. That's terrible, Virtuoso. Keep us abreast of the developments on that. But yeah, that is pretty horrible. Sorry to hear that, ma'am. Virtuoso is one of the OG dissidents, been following us for a very long time. A senator, thanks for the $4.99. Excuse me. If you think you're about to be ran over, I don't understand how firing your gun at the driver helps you. There is still a car heading towards you. Yeah, no, it was a panic move. It was a panic move by both of them. But, you are a law enforcement official being trusted with a gun and that kind of power. The onus is on you not to kill people. Thanks for the $5 super sticker, 3412. Appreciate that very much. Xander Varkov says the CIA also backed Klaus Barbie, an ex-Nazi torturer and intel asset, to set up the narco-fascists in Bolivia and Colombia during the 70s and the 80s. Thank you, Xander Varkov. Appreciate that. All right. We got one more segment on the day. Kit, thank you again for sticking with us for the full 3 hours.
No problem. No problem.
Appreciate that very much. Everybody go to subscribe to Heartlands Media, please.
Please.
On YouTube and Rumble, for sure. All right, we got one more on the day here. One more before we close the lights. So, everybody, Ben Shapiro is very happy with the way things are going. If you thought there was a MAGA civil war, maybe you were right to the extent any of this was ever real. The Shapiro side is clearly winning. Shapiro says Trump's Venezuela coup has ended the Iraq syndrome, a reservation against fighting Israel's wars. So remember how they told you that they were different from the neocons? Remember how in 2016 Trump really gave it to Jeb Bush on the debate stage, insisting that his brother had lied about weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, and how everybody stood and jumped for joy and cheered when he said that because they thought they were getting something different, that we weren't going to repeat those kinds of mistakes. Well, now all of a sudden, that's a syndrome. You have Iraq syndrome if you don't want any of these expansionist wars anymore. Here's Ben Shapiro laying it out.
Vietnam syndrome, the Iraq syndrome ushered in a period of American retreat and international chaos, led by Barack Obama and Joe Biden predominantly. Withdrawal from Iraq led to the rise of ISIS under Barack Obama. And Iranian proxies around the region grew, and that eventually resulted in the cataclysm of October 7th, 2023. Joe Biden's disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan resulted in the deaths of 13 U.S. service members and prompted, at least in part, the Russian invasion of Ukraine. China looked at the United States and the world and decided that it was going to spread its tentacles throughout Asia, Africa, and Latin America. Well, now, on the tail...
The war in Ukraine could have been avoided very easily. Russia laid out their 3 terms. It was recognition of Crimea as theirs, independence for the eastern regions, and no NATO for Ukraine. Yep. So you want to say they may have been emboldened by our disastrous pullout of Afghanistan. All right. I mean, I could grant you that. But you have to grant me that really was not the reason they ultimately decided to invade. The reason they ultimately decided to invade is because we decided it was really important to exert NATO's influence right up to Russia's border. So the idea that happened because of our weakness and our retreat is simply not the case. The reason the Russia-Ukraine war happened is because we refused to, I won't even say retreat, we refused to agree to the terms set out by NATO, decades prior, which is that there would be no expansion eastward.
Right. And another thing, too, I mean, the disastrous pipeline that was destroyed, that was in which Russia was giving gas to Europe. Exactly. I mean, all of this has been a recipe.
That was an example of retreat.
As we were tiptoeing around disaster of having World War III, and which we still do, because again, how many people have died? All this could have been avoided. The more you look back at how this war started in Ukraine, everything could have been avoided. So many people would not have died. So many people would not have been scarred, and the land would not be devastated with the bombings and artillery shells of that's been fired in this ridiculous waste. Trillions of dollars of our money had been wasted in this war. Trillions of dollars that could have been used on us, the American people. And this was all happening under a Democrat, by the way. And Trump, you said in one day, you wanted people to stop dying.
It's been a long day.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Yeah.
End of Joe Biden's catastrophic foreign policy presidency. Again, an Iraq syndrome presidency. Just as Ronald Reagan once did, President Trump has now put the Iraq syndrome to bed. Trump has done so with what could be called the Trump Doctrine. That's a term that I defined back in November 2024 with the following criteria. 1, America's interests are paramount, and they include A lot of things, from freedom of the seas to the strength of American allies in contentious regions to, yes, oil interests. Second, America's interests must be carefully calibrated to our investment in them. So big interest means big investment. Small interest, smaller investment. Third, all measures and means necessary to achieve America's interests are on the table, from diplomacy to military interventionism. And fourth, all of this should be made very public all the time. The threat should be on the table. The threat of the gun should always be on the table. Well, President Trump has done this. Again, I said this was his doctrine in November 2024.
Oh, interesting. Interesting. You said in November of 2024 that this was his doctrine. You may have wanted to mention that in October of 2024, September of 2024, like during the actual campaign, because if you had described that as the Trump doctrine during the campaign, a lot fewer people would have voted for Donald Trump. It's interesting how, hey, I made this great proclamation about essentially a revival of neocon foreign policy in November 2024. That's when I came up with this idea for the Trump doctrine after the votes were counted. That's pretty convenient, isn't it?
Yeah, and not to mention it's a continuation of war that we're seeing here. All of this is everything that Trump ran against in 2024. I don't see him talk about getting Venezuelan oil.
No, that's why Shapiro said he came up with this in November. You know, after they won the election, he decided this was going to be the foreign policy.
Yeah, and so if this is going to be the foreign policy, well, then there's probably a lot of Americans that are upset. And by the way, who do you think is going to flip the bill for those oil platforms? Yeah, the oil companies will pay it, but they're going to get reimbursed by the U.S., U.S. being us taxpayers. And all of us are going to have to chip in with our tariff checks.
That's right.
And now, in the last year, he has done it twice. First, he did so with the June 22nd, 2025 B-2 strikes on Iran's nuclear reactor at Fordo, reestablishing America's deterrence power in the Middle East, reshaping the geopolitics of the region in dramatic fashion. Despite all of the caterwauling from his supposed allies declaring that World War III would break out because, again, they had been captured by Iraq syndrome, President Trump is not. Well, now President Trump...
Pay attention to what's going on, schmuck. Not that you care. You want World War III because you want war with Iran, which would essentially balloon into World War III. The Israelis are agitating for World War III right now, as I predicted they would. I said before the end of 2025, they're going to come back again and try and get a war started. It's exactly what they did. Netanyahu, in his December 30th meeting, advocated for just that. What do you think this war in Venezuela is? Or this operation, if you don't want to call it that, in Venezuela is? It's about getting control of enough oil to stabilize global markets so that when the war in Iran happens at Israel's request, oil prices don't go off the hook. And now he's acting like, no, all of that is that's just very alarmist thinking. There's not going to be World War III. As Tucker said in a previous segment, what do you think they want $1.5 trillion military budget for?
Yeah. And I also want to point out here, too, that, like, again, for those oil platforms that supposedly be under our control, these corporations like to cut corners. You think they're all going to be operational? No, they're not. They haven't been properly maintained. And even then, if we do get them operational, how low of a budget do you think these oil corporations are really going to go in? You think they're going to fully invest a platform that's going to get all that crude oil out of the ocean? No. They are going to do whatever they can to nickel and dime and save it so they can just run it half-ass and pray that doesn't blow up because you got quote-unquote experts coming in. This is all a recipe for disaster. There's a lot of hopium that this administration is smoking on.
Yep.
Has done the same with the ouster of Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela. In pursuing these actions, Trump has reestablished American deterrence globally. He's made clear America's enemies are on notice, FAFO. And he's demonstrating that such action doesn't need to lead to a quagmire or to a full-scale nation-building exercise draining America's attention and resources. Iraq syndrome should be dead, and if it is, it died at the hands of President Trump.
Iraq syndrome, meaning, again, the fear of repeating the mistakes of the Iraq war. That's what he now calls Iraq syndrome, and Trump killed it. Trump was elected president in 2016. Rewind. Trump won the 2016 primary against Jeb Bush precisely because of what you now call Iraq syndrome. And now here we are 10 years later about to start World War III, declaring Iraq syndrome dead.
Yeah. And the thing is, you have to have people fight these wars, So, I mean, all these people that are cheerleading, are you going to put your kids on the front line? All these people that are saying, like, we're going to be dominating, FAFO, which is a line I hate. Are you going to be putting your own sweat and blood, your own precious family members? Because, you're going to have young people fight that. How many people want to boot up and suit up? After everything that happened in Iraq and Afghanistan, after everything that happened to veterans, I mean, you know, Iraq and Afghan veterans, like there's a high self-deletion rate amongst that populace. There's people who I know, you know, who have passed away because of the trauma of what their service was like. And, you know, not ones I served in the Marine Corps, but I'm talking about people who I knew in my neighborhood who served in the Army or in a different unit in the Marine Corps. And it's a very real thing. And so it's easy for these neocons and these liberals to cheer for war, but it's not them and their nearest and dearest that will fight. It's going to be us. It's going to be our next generation. And World War III, you know, last I checked, is the one with the nukes, the one where everything gets vaporized and society falls apart.
Yeah,
you know, I just also want to point out here too, you know, we're not all going to get along left and right, but I think we all can agree we don't want to see our world become a dust bowl, a radiated wasteland. But if anything, let's just remember that these rich billionaires are building themselves bomb shelters. You know, as a family, as a group, let's go find these bomb shelters and make sure, like, you know, make sure they're okay. We dig them on out. The billionaires should be up here with us too, right? I mean, it'll be a good bonding moment for us all to get together and, you know, have fun in their little bunkers.
Yeah, exactly. But look, even if it doesn't come to the kind of war that Shapiro says he wants to avoid, right? I mean, what they're really talking about here is just mask off imperialism, colonialism, domination. Here's Tom Cotton essentially saying it very, very plainly. Venezuela and the United States had a long history of partnership that benefited both the Venezuelan people and American interests. The Venezuelan government now has a chance to cooperate with the United States to restore that partnership and bring peace, stability, and prosperity to our hemisphere.
Yeah. Sean, the government of Venezuela faces a very, very significant crisis. They can't get oil out of their country anymore. That's the way the ruling Chavistas have supported themselves and their lifestyles, as you say, is stolen oil. But because of our Navy blockade, because we've now seized Maduro, the head of the Chavista regime, they can no longer export that oil. They can't get the oil out of the ground. They can't get the revenue from it. The lights are literally going to go off. They're not going to be able to pay policemen or firefighters or teachers or what have you unless they begin to cooperate with President Trump and the United States.
So that's interesting. So you accuse the Chavistas of this mismanagement or negligence or perhaps, intentional negligence, criminal negligence of a kind. And now you're saying that they're not going to be able to function as a society at all now that Maduro's gone unless they do so on our terms, which means give American corporations the terms that they want.
That's you know that TV show where they had like Jack Ryan. We're talking about Venezuela being a threat.
Sure, yeah.
I actually, when that series came out, I did a review on it. Let me just tell you something right off the bat. That show was stupid. First episode all the way to the end. The way it all ends, it's the dumbest thing ever, dumbest plot line. And it's an insult to everyone's intelligence. Overall, it's just about control and removing a evil communist. But even at the end, like we were working with that government. It was a spoiler alert. It was all stupid. It was all set up. It was all dumb. But this whole idea of now what Venezuela needs to listen to what we have to say. How would we feel if somebody did it to our oil fields, our gold mines, our waterways, our lakes? But oh wait, we're already owned by corporations and special interest groups. So we're already there, and now we're forcing this upon another people. You expect them to embrace us, arms wide open? I'm pretty sure they're going to be very upset what we did. And this whole idea of taking their resources is going to infuriate them.
Yes, it's just thuggery in broad daylight.
Immediate leverage we have. In the long term, though, we helped create the Venezuelan oil industry until Chavez expropriated the assets of American companies. Our refineries in the Gulf Coast are predominantly designed to process heavy crude Venezuelan oil. We would love in the long term to see that partnership return under a legitimate government of that serves the interests of the Venezuelan people and that is pro-American. That's in our interest, that's in their interest, that's in the interest of stability, order, and prosperity in our backyard.
Okay, and then they're gonna say no, this isn't regime change because the vice president is now the head of state and we're gonna leave her there. So you kidnap the president and browbeat the vice president into changing the policy to suit American corporations' interests. And you're going to deny that that's a regime change operation? Of course, in every meaningful sense of the word, it is. And finally, Here is Max Blumenthal summarizing this all quite well on Judge Knapp's show.
Just a demonstration globally of a complete lack of regard for not just international law, but any law and any value other than the law of the jungle. And naturally, this is going to flow back on us. And I think, a good metaphor for it is like a husband who just decides to lean into beating and cheating on his wife because that's the natural nature of man. That's Donald Trump on the world stage. So the United States is stripped of any values, any meaning other than crude exploitation and raw capitalist plunder. Where is the Smedley Butler of today to rise from the ranks of the U.S. military and realize that they are just the muscle for a bankers cartel and that they are actually not defending anything or anyone except the global militant Zionist 1%.
Couldn't have said it any better myself. That's exactly it.
And see, the tragedy for Smedley Butler is he did the right thing. He went to FDR because he said, "Hey, look, they're gonna try and do this coup. They're gonna remove you." And all he was given was a pat on the head and no consequences. Why? Because these were the donors. These were the rich men. And Smedley knew then, even because they want to put him in charge. He's the greatest hero ever. I mean, he told the whole country. He told the proper chain of command, like, "Hey, this is happening. This is illegal. They're going to try and do a coup, remove the legitimate government." And what was his reward? You covered your ass.
Yep.
That's it. Boom. That's why there aren't any streets or buildings named after him as much. I mean, if this was a true Roman republic for true Romans, his name would be everywhere. He would be lionized as a hero.
Right.
In a different world, I mean, if you're anti-fascist, Smedley Butler should be like on your wall right there. Like, this guy warned that the country was going to be taken over in a fascist coup. Nope. And I think everyone kind of learned their lesson from what happened with Smedley Butler.
Indeed. Absolutely. All right, folks, we're going to take some more Rumble rants and super chats, and then we will close the lights on the stream. Michael Castillo says CBS now has their cum dumpsters wide open for Donald Trump. Yes.
Oh, well, hey, man, they got to get fed. They're hungry.
That's right. Siddhartha Vicious, deep dish New York style pizza 2028. In God we trust.
Hey, listen, we're going to launch a crusade because what happened right now with this mad pizza, what's happening in Thailand, that's not going to be tolerated. We're taking it over. They're done. They're done. This is a United States of Pizza alliance, okay? Hawaii, we're even bringing you in on this one too.
That's right. Exactly. Race car. Is there an English word that means when a country or person takes advantage of a common feature or property just because they can? For example, hey, you can't use our dollar anymore because your country is too woke. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, race car. Zionists like Shapiro are bleeding America dry in wars. Yes. Heavy Snack says being an American means you get to fund this real land in Gaza and Venezuela's oil infrastructure on behalf of oil companies, but cry about Somalians. Exactly. Good point. Well said. Andy Gardner, thank you for the super sticker. That is our show, everybody. Thanks very much for being here. Kit Cabello, great to see you again, my friend.
Hey.
Thank you so much for joining. Tell everybody where they can follow you.
Yes, Hardlens Media on YouTube. HARDLENSMEDIA. Hardlens Media on YouTube, Rumble, Kick, X as well. Please consider supporting us on Patreon as well. And we're very appreciative for all the support that we've been getting, especially last year. I really do appreciate the solidarity and love from this whole community. And we go live Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 9 a.m., Sunday at 10 a.m. And patron supporters, you get a patron show Saturday at 10 a.m. as well, because you guys make the show happen and help us stay one step ahead of the censorship. I am working right now on getting a guest for tomorrow's show, and I'm working on getting a few other guests as well. But nonetheless, starting this year strong, and I'm really glad to be a co-host. Keaton, if you ever need me back here again, more than happy to step up and be on board.
Of course, man. Great job as always. Always a pleasure. Jezzy, thanks for putting that in the YouTube chat. That's the link to go to Hardlens Media and smash that subscribe button
and ring bell notification, and double check you're still subscribed to all of your favorite channels, because last year 12 million channels were terminated and now independent media voices are needed, all of us, and voices like Due Dissidents, voices like Hardlens Media, everybody. We got to just work in solidarity, and you, the audience, unfortunately more work is put upon you guys, but just double check you're still subscribed and throw in a like and all that other good jazz.
100%. Thanks, everybody, very much for being here. Thanks to special guest Russell Dobular for joining us at the top of the show.
Great.
From Bangkok, live from Bangkok. Russell will be live with us on Sunday. I think we got Michael Tracy for Sunday. I got to confirm with him. He got sick, he told us last time. So he had to cancel, but I think we're good for Michael Tracy on Sunday. I will be live on the Jimmy Dore Show tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern with special guest Caleb Maupin. And hopefully Janine Eunice can make it, although now with that tweet having gone so viral, she's probably in high demand, so we'll see if we can get in touch with her. But Caleb Maupin for sure is a go for tomorrow at 4 o'clock to talk Venezuela, and we have some more stuff over there as well for everybody. So I'll see you guys on the Jimmy Dore Show tomorrow at 4 p.m. Smash that like button on the way out. Smash that subscribe button on the way out. Appreciate you all very much for being here. Thanks for spending the afternoon with us. Until next time, be safe and be well. See you all next time. Courage.
Please clap.